Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. What if Naruto inherited an ancient alien bloodline? Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto sat atop the stone heads of the Hokage monument in the village hidden in the leaves, looking into the dark sky. The warm summer breeze brushed against his face as the moon brightened the stars around it. Naruto always wondered what was beyond those stars. What secrets they held, what different possibilities could come from another intelligent life touching theirs. Naruto knew he was different from everyone else on this planet. Not because of what was sealed inside of him, but from his body itself. Naruto kept this secret to himself, but his body was completely different. Naruto could read people's movements just as well as the Sharingan and remember people's moves far past the limits of the Sharingan. Every jutsu, every punch he took, Naruto could redo them all. Naruto noticed that his energy and physical abilities were far ahead of his age. But why was this? Naruto does not have the Sharingan and did not train himself as hard as Rock Lee. So why is it that Naruto is able to perform at their level? Naruto looked at the moon in hopes to find some answer to his dilemma. Was it God that blessed him with this ability? Or was it something more? Something that predates his parents and the beginning of the ninja world? Naruto shook his head and stood from his sitting position. These questions will have to wait for another time. Naruto has a mission tomorrow with Team Guy and he doesn't want to be late. After Naruto walked down the steps to his home, a little purple light appeared from the forests where Naruto last stood. Yes, you are the one that I have been searching for. A voice from where the purple light said before disappearing in a small flash of yellow. XXXXX. Naruto woke up on time. After stretching and getting ready for the day ahead, Naruto exited his apartment and into the hallway. Over the course of the last few weeks, Naruto's personality has changed drastically. Instead of the happy and hyper ninja that everyone remembered, a more hungry and calculative ninja replaced the old one. And Naruto didn't have a hunger for ramen, but knowledge. Something in him seemed empty. Something that wanted to be filled up with knowledge that would help and protect people as well as himself, but Naruto couldn't find any information in this world. Not when he is surrounded by hate and destruction. While on his way to the meeting point, Naruto remembered everything that has happened to him over the past few weeks. Naruto finished the exams, defeated Gaara, and Sasuke left the village. A fun few weeks if you take out the last part. But as Naruto continued walking, ignoring the disappointed looks that he received from the villagers for not retrieving Sasuke, Naruto stopped in his place as he remembered why he didn't beat Sasuke. Naruto stopped caring. After racking his brain for a solution, Naruto came up with a reason. Even if Naruto did retrieve Sasuke, said ninja would leave at first wind of an escape plan. So what was the point? Naruto also gave up on any friendship with the traitor and saving him would pointless. Naruto arrived at the meeting site to see that the other four were already there, awaiting his arrival. Naruto was glad to see Neji and Rock Lee recovering and ready to do light missions again, even if Naruto didn't show it. Neji and Rock Lee both put their lives on the line to help Naruto get to Sasuke, but what they thought was a close match, was what Naruto thought was giving up on an old friend that couldn't be saved. Ah, Naruto-kun, glad to see that you finally made it. Rock Lee shouted as he slapped Naruto on the back. Naruto nodded and put on a fake small smile. Yeah, sorry for being late. Just, had to do some thinking. Naruto said as he scratched the back of his head. Neji frowned at this. It's alright Naruto, we invited you to do this mission for you to get up and out of the house. Guy said with his fashionable smile in his trademark pose. Thanks, Naruto said. Neji continued to look at him closely, as if he knew something was not right about Naruto. Everyone thought they knew that Naruto's personality changed due to Sasuke's leaving, but in fact it was something inside Naruto that awakened that day. Naruto's crave for knowledge, but this was all new to Naruto. Naruto didn't know what this craving was and only felt it once before when he learned the Kage Bushin no Jutsu. Something inside of him wanted to continue on and learn everything that was hiding in that scroll, but he was interrupted from his hunger that night. Slowly Naruto began to show up at the library and read the books that were housed there, but only after a few days Naruto stopped. Most people thought it was because Naruto only wanted to look smart to the people of the village as everyone thought that Naruto hated reading, but that was not the case. After reading a few of the books and looking over all the others in the library, Naruto learned that it was all propaganda and fake tales of Konoha's victories over every other elemental nation. The only ones that Naruto checked out were ones on philosophy, something that has interested Naruto for a long time. Not a problem. Now let's get on with the mission. We have to transport some documents to a nearby town and then bring back some documents back home. Guy explained as he pulled out the scroll that needed to be transported. Here is the scroll. This is a C-class mission because we are leaving the village, but the information is simply orders from a construction company here in Konoha for materials. Yosh, we will get it done as fast as possible. Rock Lee shouted with a salute. It will take us one day to get there, so let's move. Guy shouted as the two green beasts of Konoha dashed off into the distance. Tenten sighed. Why do they always do this? Tenten asked. Neji shrugged and Naruto shook his head. Guess we better follow before they hurt themselves. Neji said as the other two nodded and ran after the two. XXXXX. The trip was boring as the two taijutsu experts arrived an hour earlier than the other three genin, not that the three genin were surprised at how much earlier the others arrived before themselves. The town was large, but not extremely so. It had a small cliff that walled all around it and the only way down was via stairs and a single large road. The sun was still barely up once the three arrived. I have taken the liberty to deliver the documents and pick up the return trip documents before you three arrived. We'll stay here for the night and leave first thing in the morning. Guy said as he turned to Rock Lee. As for you, we need to push in some training before the sun goes down. Yosh, let's move, Rock Lee shouted as the two disappeared before their eyes. Those two, well, I'm going to my room. What about you two? Tenten asked. I'm going to walk around some. Enjoy the town a little. Naruto said as he turned and walked away. Something's up with Naruto, Neji thought as Naruto disappeared into the crowd of people. Neji was not the only one sharing Neji's feelings. Sakura, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and several of the other rookies saw that Naruto had something else going on in his life that he was letting know to them. But, what was it? XXXXX. Naruto sat atop a large tree that looked out over the bright lights of the town. A festival brightened the main street as Naruto watched the children play in the streets, their parents not far off laughing with wide smiles on their faces. Naruto smiled at the joyful sight, but then Naruto sensed something behind him. Naruto turned to see a metal ball with a purple glowing eye in the center. The metal ball was floating in the air as it simply stared at him. Naruto was shocked, surprised, and most of all, interested at the metal floating ball. How did it float? Naruto wanted to know. What are you and how do you float? Naruto asked the metal ball. I am 0 to 101 Moonlight and I am the monitor of installation PV. As to how I float, I'll explain that later, Moonlight said. Naruto looked curiously at the monitor as said monitor stared back. Yes, you do hold what I have been seeking. Naruto immediately thought of the Akatsuki and how they wanted what he held. The Kyuubi? Naruto asked. No, the Kyuubi is not what I'm looking for. The thing I'm looking for is, you. Moonlight said. Me? Why are you looking for me? Naruto asked in surprise. We should not speak here, but let me ask, do you the craving to learn more? To absorb more knowledge over the past few weeks? Moonlight asked. Yes, I have. It just started a few weeks ago. I also have heightened senses and a better memory than most, but I don't tell them that. Naruto said, but then realized that he just gave out one of his biggest secrets to a possible enemy, but something about the floating metal ball made him feel secure. Like he has some sort of attachment to Moonlight. Ah, so my assumptions are correct. If you want to learn what all that means then you must come with me. Moonlight said. For how long? Depends on how long it will take you to learn. But I can't just leave. I was about to leave with Pervy Sage and learn more jutsu from him. I understand. I'll give you one day to make up your mind on what you want to do. Learn about yourself and what's beyond the stars, or stay here. Moonlight said. Naruto was looking down towards the ground, but when he looked back up the purple eye is right in his face. But let me tell you this, Naruto. The Kyuubi is not the one giving you these amazing abilities. The monitor backed away from Naruto and as yellow light began to engulf the metal ball, Moonlight had one last thing to say. Remember, blood runs deeper than you think. Then, Moonlight disappeared in a small flash of yellow. Naruto stared at where the monitor once floated. So these abilities weren't from the Kyuubi. Then what are they from? A better question is, what was he? Naruto, are you okay? A voice from underneath him asked. Naruto looked down to see his white-eyed friend with a look of concern on his face. Naruto jumped down next to his friend. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto replied. Neji looked at Naruto deeply. You know, if you need to say something, I'm here for you. Neji said. Naruto looked at him with curious eyes. Neji has never been like this to anyone. Why is he being this way towards Naruto now? Thanks, but I'm fine. I just have a lot to think about. Naruto said. I understand. Life always tends to throw someone a rough one. It seems that you have been hit pretty hard lately on Sasuke's leave. Neji said as he noticed that Naruto doesn't flinch whenever the name Sasuke appears like Sakura or Ino. But, there is something else isn't there? Yeah, maybe I'll tell you someday along with the others, but for now I just need to collect my thoughts and learn what's going on. Neji thought about a way to brighten his friend's mood and came up with a plan. Do you want to spar? Neji asked. Naruto looked at Neji in question. Only a light spar. I just got out of the hospital a week ago so taijutsu only. Sure, Naruto replied as the two walked into a clearing. The moon was bright and illuminated the clearing. Neji got into the Hyuga stance. This time, Neji, I won't take hits to make myself look weak. Naruto said as he positioned himself into a lazy stance. Quit blowing smoke, Neji said as he dashed towards Naruto. Neji has been training since their last match in the Chunin exams and has gotten faster and stronger. Not as fast as Rock Lee, but fast. Neji sent strike towards Naruto's chest, not a fully powered gentle fist strike, but enough to knock him back. Naruto sidestepped and grabbed Neji's fingers. Nice try, Naruto said in his new calm mood. Neji jumped back slightly and sent a kick towards Naruto's head. Naruto ducked the kick, but noticed that the kick was a distraction and dodged the strike going towards his head. This time, however, Naruto countered with a hard push to Neji's chest that sent him skirting across the ground. Neji finally stopped and looked at the impact zone to see a bruise where Naruto roughly pushed. Neji looked up at Naruto to see him staring back with blank eyes. Naruto, how much stronger have you become? Neji asked. None. I have simply been holding back all this time. Naruto said in a calm voice, but ducked when a kick from a green blur appeared from nowhere. Naruto then blocked the punch that was sent towards his head and countered by pushing the green blur away. Rock Lee landed on his feet in his traditional stance. The flames of youth burn brightly in you, Naruto-kun. And you have been holding back all this time? Rock Lee asked as Guy appeared in the clearing. A friendly spar I see. That is very youthful. Do you mind facing Lee? He is in need of a different sparring partner than Tenten and Neji. Guy shouted. Naruto shrugged and returned into his relaxed stance. Sure, but note that I fight differently when I'm trying. Naruto said as Lee lifted his thumb up into the air. Of course, I wouldn't want to spar any other way. Lee shouted before disappearing and reappearing behind Naruto with a kick going towards his head. To slow Naruto-kun, Rock Lee is the fastest genin in the village. There is no way you can react to Lee's position now. Guy thought in pride, but was dumbstruck when Naruto bent over and dodged the attack. Naruto then grabbed Lee's leg and proceeded to quickly throw Lee over him and towards Guy. Guy caught his surprised student who looked at Naruto in shock. But, how did you know I was behind and how I was going to attack? Lee asked. Quick reactions with a combination of guessing your muscle movements before disappearing behind me. Do you want another round? Naruto offered as he returned to his stance. Yosh, let's go. Lee started, but was cut off when Guy interrupted. No, Lee, another round would be pointless. I don't know how you do it, Naruto, but your recent training has improved you tremendously. Guy said. Lee was disappointed that he wouldn't get another shot at beating Naruto, and Neji simply grinned at how Lee was also unable to hit Naruto. Alright everyone, we have a long trip home tomorrow. Let's get some rest. Understood, Guy-sensei. Lee shouted as Neji and Naruto simply nodded. XXXXX. The trip home was just as boring as the trip there. The same thing happened though. Guy and Rock Lee dashed ahead of the other three genin and arrived an hour ahead of them. Again, Guy and Lee turned in the mission and handed out the money to the three just arriving. Okay team, we will train tomorrow at the regular scheduled time. Naruto, it was nice to have you accompany us on the mission. Keep up your amazing training as it has helped you greatly. Everyone, dismissed. Guy shouted as Neji and Tenten walked away in different directions and Guy and Lee in another. Guy-sensei, Naruto called out, getting his attention. Hold on one moment, Lee. Guy said as he walked over to Naruto. What do you need, Naruto? You wouldn't happen to know where Kakashi-sensei is, would you? Naruto asked. Ah, yes, Kakashi. He just arrived from a mission. Guy said as Naruto turned around to see Kakashi walking through the gates reading his little orange book. Thanks, Guy-sensei, Naruto said as he ran over to his sensei. Once Naruto was near Kakashi, said John and looked over at his student. Naruto, Kakashi asked in confusion. It wasn't every day that Naruto wants to talk to him when he wasn't training. Kakashi-sensei, could you help me with something? Naruto asked. Kakashi raised a brow at this. And that would be, just something that has been troubling me lately. Naruto replied. Kakashi nodded and put away his book. Kakashi has also seen how much Naruto has changed lately and thought it was about Sasuke, but if Naruto needed to talk about it then he would hold out a helping hand. Sure, let go, Kakashi said as he laid a hand on Naruto's shoulder and the two disappeared in a swirl of leaves. The two appeared atop the fourth Hokage's head once they exited the jutsu. So, what is it that you needed to talk about? Kakashi asked. Naruto was quiet for a moment before talking. Would you leave the village to train if it meant helping everyone in the long run? Naruto asked as the setting sun was just licking the horizon. Kakashi thought about it and sighed in confusion. What do you mean? Kakashi asked. If it meant becoming a missing ninja to help the people that are close to you, then would you become a missing ninja? Kakashi looked at Naruto in surprise, but quickly replaced his surprise with a look of thought. Become a missing ninja. Becoming a missing ninja meant that you were to be hunted down and killed for betraying or leaving your village without your Kage's consent. Why would Naruto ask a question like that? After a long moment of thought, Kakashi made up his conclusion. Yes, I would become a missing ninja if it meant protecting those close to me, but only if I had to. Why do you ask? Kakashi asked. Naruto stayed silent as he looked at the setting sun. Just wondering, that's all. Naruto replied. Kakashi stayed where he was, not liking the answer. Naruto knew he had to make something up to get Kakashi off his back. Kakashi was a smart ninja and is one of the most powerful in the village. Tricking him would not be easy. So, Naruto came up with a plan that would be both believable and truthful in the eyes of the elite Jonin next to him. I was just wondering if that's what Sasuke was doing when he left. Naruto said. Kakashi nodded, taking the answer. No, Sasuke left because he had a lust for power. Sasuke wants to use that power to crush his brother and avenge his clan as well as quell his own thirst for revenge. You would do best not to follow down the same path, Naruto. Kakashi said as he stood up from his sitting position. Need a lift home? No, I got some thinking to do. Naruto replied. Kakashi nodded in understanding. Losing a close friend like that is tough. Kakashi has had first-hand experience in that department. But, Kakashi also knew that Naruto may do anything now, even turn into a missing ninja. Well, whatever you do, just know that I support you. Good luck in your adventures ahead, Kakashi said before disappearing in a swirl of leaves. Naruto stayed in his position for a long time. The setting sun bathed him with its orange glow until it slowly slipped behind the horizon. Naruto stood from his sitting position and looked at what was left of the sun's rays. Naruto has made up his mind. XXXXX. Sakura was walking down the street-lit road. Destination, Hokage Tower. Tsunade has agreed to give her training in the medical field for she has lately been feeling small and useless around her teammates. Sakura wanted a purpose in her team, something that will help them in their missions, but with the disappearance of Sasuke, her training has wavered. Sakura has had a crush on Sasuke since the academy days, and she was not afraid to let people know. Sakura fought with Ino and several other girls over Sasuke's love, but only for the prodigy Uchiha to reject their approaches. Sakura made a promise with her only remaining teammate to bring him back, but that was selfish. Now she has noticed the change in the way Naruto acted, the way he trained, everything. Naruto was not the same hyperactive ninja that she knew, but her feelings have changed, slightly. Sakura has now began to notice that she has taken a liking to her now calm teammate. Along with many girls around the village, they are beginning to like the more calm Naruto as well, but Sakura likes not what's on the outside, but his loyalty to his friends and those close to him. Even with his change in personality, Naruto still protects his friends and stays by them until the bitter end. Sakura was cut from her musings when she saw the ninja that plagued her thoughts. Sakura was expecting Naruto to say something to her first, but once he walked by her with his stare locked on the ground, she realized that something was wrong. Naruto, Sakura said, getting the attention of the now calm and calculative boy. Naruto looked up and smiled a small smile. Oh, hey Sakura-chan. Naruto replied as he walked back to Sakura. Are you okay? You don't look like yourself. Sakura said. Oh, I'm just going to be leaving for a long time, that's all. Naruto said. Sakura then realized that Naruto's trip with Jiraiya was tomorrow morning and nobody bothered to say goodbye. Oh my gosh, that's right, I have been so busy with my training that I forgot about the time. I'm sorry, Sakura exclaimed, making Naruto raise a brow. It's fine. Well, good luck with your training, Sakura-chan. I'll see you later, Naruto said as he turned to leave, but was stopped when the pink-hair girl wrapped her arms around the blonde. There, something to remember me by on your long trip. Good luck, Naruto-kun, Sakura said before running down the street. Naruto scratched the back of his head and shrugged. XXXXX. Naruto was seen standing on the head of the fourth Hokage, looking out over the village that he held so dear. Naruto turned when a small flash of yellow erupted behind him. Have you chosen? Moonlight asked. I'll go with you. Something about you seems right. Like I have a connection with you. I bet you do. Come, let's talk somewhere more secure, creator. Moonlight said as the two erupted in yellow light. XXXXX. Okay, so this just a little something that I thought up that I thought would be cool. If you like it, review. If you don't like it, well, don't read it. Tsunade was last seen standing next to the grand window that lined the Hokage's office. The tower was much higher than most of the other buildings in the village hidden in the leaves, but why was she standing next to the window with a look of concern on her face? It was because the number one most hyperactive ninja disappeared last night and nobody seems to know where exactly he has disappeared to. Tsunade had already sent a team of Inuzukas to try and track him down. They should be back within the hour, but as of now Jiraiya and Kakashi were accompanying her in her office as the search teams continued their search for the missing Jinchuriki. So, what now? Jiraiya asked. Jiraiya and Naruto had a long-term training trip planned this morning, but once Naruto disappeared, Jiraiya went directly to Tsunade. Jiraiya was the one that told Tsunade of Naruto's disappearance in the first place, but when the sun was covered by thick gray clouds that threatened to rain, Jiraiya thought that Naruto stayed indoors and the two of them were going to postpone the trip until tomorrow. This, obviously, was not the resolving case. Naruto was gone and the three powerful ninja in the office had no idea where. Keep up the search. We can't let Naruto become captured by the Akatsuki, Tsunade said, not facing the men behind her. But Jiraiya already told you that his contact in Akatsuki has confirmed that they do not possess the nine-tailed fox container. Kakashi said. I know that, damn it. But if he is still out there then he is extremely vulnerable to capture. Tsunade shouted. There was a silence that ensued the room after Tsunade's outburst. Neither men wanting to take up the position to argue the powerful women. Jiraiya sighed a painful sigh. Look, Tsunade, I think, Jiraiya started, but stopped what he was going to say when a knock on the door became presented to them. Who is it? Tsunade asked. The Inuzuka team that was sent out this morning, Hokage-sama. A voice replied. Ah, yes, come in and give us your report, Tsunade said as she sat down behind her desk. The female Inuzuka walked in and bowed her head in respect. Here you are, Hokage-sama, the Inuzuka member said as she gave a file to the Hokage. We searched everywhere, any escape route, any crowded area, we searched everywhere. But we came up, the Inuzuka said, empty-handed, Tsunade said in surprise as her hands began to shake. Yes, we kept sniffing him back to the top of the Hokage monument. More precisely, the fourth Hokage's head. The Inuzuka said. Tsunade was now on the verge of crying. How could she have lost him so easily? Also, there was a message that was etched into a rock on top of the monument that you might want to see. Whenever you get the chance, that is. You are dismissed, Tsunade said as the Inuzuka nodded and left the room. Tsunade now had streams of tears coming from her eyes. Damn it, I lost him just like that. First Sasuke, now Naruto. What's next, Neji? Tsunade shouted as she slammed her hand into the desk, breaking it in two. It isn't your fault. Calm down, Tsunade, Jiraiya shouted, trying to calm down the Hokage before she went on a rampage. After a few minutes of shouting senseless curse words and blames, Tsunade finally began to calm down. Kakashi watched the painful scene with a blank stare. Kakashi knew what happened to Naruto. That conversation the two shared atop the fourth's head was what triggered this in Naruto's head. Kakashi looked to the sky and saw a crack in the clouds. So, this is what you wanted. You had this planned all along, didn't you, Naruto? Well, I hope you know what you're doing because you're a wanted man now. Kakashi thought as Jiraiya said the one thing that was bound to happen. He is going to have to be put into the bingo book. Jiraiya said as Tsunade flinched at hearing that. Tsunade didn't like it, but it was the law. If a ninja left the village without permission then they are considered traitors. Sometimes she hated this job. Yeah, I'll bring it up in the meeting, Tsunade said quietly. You better know what you're doing, Naruto. Or I'll beat the living shit out of you when you get back. Let's go check on that message. I would like to see what was left behind, Kakashi said. The two Sannin nodded in agreement. After a short walk to the roof and a quick jump to the fourth's head the three powerful ninja saw the message. It was on a small boulder next to the woods. The three ninja were surprised at what they saw. The message read, I have been called upon by the gods for a time unknown, but when I fall from the heavens there will be no peace or joy. Only death and destruction will meet my wake. What could this mean? XXXXX. So wait, we are in a spaceship? Naruto asked as he walked around the ship with Moonlight in tow. After disappearing from Kohono, the two reappeared inside a ship that Naruto was currently walking around inside of. This is a ship made by your forefathers which was placed on this planet long ago. Moonlight said as a metal object floated by. What was that? Naruto asked in curiosity. That was a sentinel. They perform the physical labor and repair of your ships. They also carry a light combat energy beam to combat organic enemies. Moonlight said as Naruto nodded. Moonlight noted that Naruto was taking everything in a better state of mind than originally thought. Naruto, on the other hand, was taking in every bit of information that was dished out to him, just as Moonlight predicted. Trying to fill the empty void that plagued his mind, but this little bit of information was not enough. Who were my forefathers and how did they disappear? Naruto asked. Moonlight stopped, as if it was thinking. Moonlight took several seconds to process what to tell him. The name of your forefathers were called the Forerunners and they were a highly advanced and noble people. They fought in the belief of truth and justice and died believing that. As to how they died, you will learn that in due time. Right now you must follow me to bid your planet a farewell. Moonlight said as they two stopped next to a window in the bridge of the ship. Several golden sentinels manned the screens and operating systems. All one could see was the dense forest around them, but suddenly the ship was beginning to rise into the air. Soon the window went past the treetops and into the air. Naruto gawked at what he saw. Other villages began to come into view, including his own, and soon the ship passed the blue curtain that shielded its secrets from their unsuspecting occupants. And as soon as it came, it disappeared. Naruto's planet vanished from view as a black ball appeared in front of the ship. What is that? Naruto asked. Something like a slipspace drive. The process of, in a beat-down expression, teleporting an object from one area to another, but we don't use slipspace exactly. The Forerunners created a much more advanced process that you will learn in due time. Moonlight explained. Naruto nodded and accepted the response. Once clearing the black ball, Naruto wanted to ask more questions. I have a few questions, Light. Naruto said to the newly dubbed monitor. Well, it will take a few minutes to pass through the electronic discharge field so we have time for a few questions. What do you need? Light asked. Electronic discharge field, Naruto asked. It's a defensive field that prevents all ships from slip spacing close to the planet. This gave the Forerunners a sort of early warning system to prepare for what was to come. Light explained. Well, I have another question. The way you teleported us away from my village. It's as just like the way the fourth Hokage got his name, the Yellow Flash. Naruto said. The fourth Hokage, that was one of the ones that we have also been watching. Although he did not fully activate his Forerunner blood as well as you did, he still started what eventually led to your activation. His famous jutsu was not a jutsu at all. Light explained. What? Of course it was a jutsu. Naruto exclaimed. Not at all. As you know, the fourth made his own kunai, but kept the secret of what the material of his kunai was made of. Well, he found ruins of a Forerunner structure which he decided to mine some of minerals next to said structure. The minerals that he mined held some of the materials that the Forerunners used in their teleporters. The teleporters allowed the Forerunners to teleport to a teleporter at any time in a flash, but most teleporters have been lost in time and the material that the Forerunners used to make the teleporters have also been erased from our memories. But, anyway, the kunai only activated to his blood and those related to him, not because of the seal that he thought he made, but the Forerunner minerals inside his special kunai. It does, however, activate to yours, creator. Light said. Naruto processed the information and his eyes widened after a few seconds. So that means, the fourth is my father. Naruto said. Of course. You did not know that? Light asked. Naruto shook his head. How else would the fourth Hokage know how to create all those jutsu? He held an immense amount of understanding in the sealing arts, but where you're going, you will learn something more expansive than that. As to how the Forerunner blood appeared on your planet, that remains unknown. Naruto nodded. Naruto was quick to get over learning who his father was because he had his thoughts on who his father was and one of his main theories was the fourth, but to hear it as a fact was still surprising. Naruto was also quick to notice that Light had no idea how the Forerunner blood appeared on his planet, but Naruto quickly tossed this thought aside for later contemplating as Light mentioned something else that Naruto has been wondering about. Look, creator, this is your ancestor's planet, as well as yours. Light said as Naruto looked up and out the window. At first there was nothing, but just as Naruto was about to question Moonlight, an invisible camouflage began to break away from the planet. There was lush blue oceans, but little to no green. All was brown and gray with a large symbol etched into the gray. The brown was obviously rock or dirt. The gray was urban areas, which made up most of the planet. But the green symbol baffled Naruto. What could it mean? Before Naruto could express his thoughts, Light said something first. We are landing in the main library where you are not leaving until you learn of your forefathers' past. Light said as he floated out of the bridge of the ship. Naruto watched as they landed right in the center of the symbol, but was surprised when all the buildings in the area were completely destroyed except for a large building in the center. Naruto noted that the sky was clear blue with a single purple sun in the air, but the colors were the same as on his old planet. The architecture was similar to the ship, all a steel material and purple lights, but as the roof opened up, Naruto was stunned at the rows and rows of glowing blue lights. There was obviously hundreds of thousands of years of information stored here. How was he supposed to learn all of this information in one lifetime? One could not even see the roof from where he stood inside the bridge. Naruto exited the bridge and out of the ship only for Light to dissipate. Light, Naruto shouted. The purple monitor floated from around the corner of one of the shelves. Yes, creator, Light asked. How am I supposed to obtain all this information? Naruto asked. Oh, yes. Follow me please. Learning the history of every species including your own should be simple and fast. Light said as the two went down various rows of shelves until coming to a stop in front of a large open area. Light streamed in through a hole in the roof and into the center of the massive room. The light fell upon a single chair in the center of the room that had thousands of cables flowing underneath the floor, which one could see through the hard glass on the floor. What is? Naruto started, but was cut off when 5 golden sentinels grabbed his arms, legs, and head and pinned him to the ground. What are you doing? Naruto shouted as he struggled against the 5 large machines, but to no avail. After landing on the planet, or rather leaving his own, Naruto noticed that he became heavier and his chakra reserves all dissipated or were locked away. Probably because his old planet support its use while on other planets chakra simply locks away. Creator, for you to learn all this information in a short amount of time, you must bear with us. That chair is connected to every storage unit in this building and you will need a connector tap into it all. I'm sorry for taking you by surprise, but this must be done. Light said as Naruto calmed down. Okay, just don't take me by surprise again. Naruto said. Light nodded, and at that time another sentinel that looked different than the others floated over behind Naruto. This is a medical sentinel. It used to take care of any injury that both sentinel and forerunners took, but I must warn you, this process will be painful. You may not live through it. Light said as Naruto breathed in heavily. Let's just see about that. Naruto said. As you wish, creator. Light said as he nodded to the medical sentinel. The sentinel lowered towards the back of Naruto's neck and pulled out a photon drill and other equipment that was needed to place connector inside of Naruto. Naruto squeezed his eyes shut and awaited the pain to envelope him, but what he thought was going to be torture turned out to be something completely different. As the photon drill came closer, the sentinel quickly and precisely jabbed the blue drill into Naruto and in the blink of the eye replaced the hole with the connector. Naruto blinked. That didn't hurt at all. Naruto said as the sentinel still held onto Naruto. That was not the painful part. Light said, but as Naruto began to question Light, Naruto suddenly felt as if every part of his brain was being squeezed through a straw and chewed up. Naruto tried to squirm, but the sentinels would not let him, and Naruto realized that he was no longer controlling his actions. What is going on? The connector is searching your brain for that deep endless void that has hidden itself inside your brain. The connector needs to be able to make a solid connection with that void so when you're obtaining all the information it can dump and organize it inside the void at a quick rate. All forerunners went through this and lived. Let's hope you can do the same. Light explained. Naruto felt as if barbed wire was shoved into his ear and wrapped around his brain, then poked out the other. Then 2 people were grabbing both ends of the wire and pulling as hard as they could. Naruto struggled against the feeling of the connector searching his brain. He hated the fact that the connector was looking into every past thought and memory that he held, but then something struck him. The connector was a part of him. Something that will help him fill the empty void that threatened the rest of mind. Naruto relaxed and let the connector search his brain. Everything that was his was now shared with the forerunner object in the back of his head. The pain steadily began to decrease as the defense that was once in front of the connector was now gone. Naruto began to notice that the connector was now sorting through the memories that he already held and organizing them in an even neater order than what Naruto already accomplished. Finally the pain dispersed and the sentinels let go of their hold on Naruto. Naruto struggled to stand, but fell back down onto the ground. 2 of the sentinels caught Naruto and helped him into a standing position. Naruto looked up to see Light floating in front of him. I see you finally let the connector search through your brain freely. A good job, because if you were to pass out when you were resisting, you would have died. Has the connector found it? Light asked. Naruto racked through his pounding brain and found that the connector had indeed found the empty void. Yes, Naruto replied. That's great. If you were to delay this procedure any longer, then that void would have taken over your mind and you would been brain dead. Light said in a pleased voice. Naruto nodded, but then thought of something. So if I would have not come with you, then I would been brain dead in a matter of years. Naruto asked. Months actually. You see, I didn't want to use that as leverage to force you to come. I wanted you to come on your own decision. Not on a, if I don't go then I'll die, basis. Light said as Naruto understood what the monitor was telling him. Light wanted Naruto come on his own free will. Not on a do or die situation. Would like to start the process now. Or would rather rest? Light asked. How long will it take? Naruto asked. Depends on how fast you and your connector can process the information. When you enter the downloader you cannot stop until you completely learn everything. The process should take 3 to 4 years. Light said as Naruto was shocked. 3 to 4 years. He had to return to his home planet in at least 2.5. Light seemed to see the distress and shock on Naruto's face and moved to calm the young forerunner. Please also note that 3 years on this planet are equivalent to 1 year on your old planet. Your old planet has a strange cycle that is completely different from most other planets, so do not fret. Naruto visibly calmed. He had much more time than he thought he would have, but something came to Naruto's attention. How will I eat and take care of myself? Naruto asked. I'm glad you asked. When you are in the downloader, we will insert a variety of chemicals into your body that will feed, hydrate, improve your muscle and bone structure, and increase your metabolism temporarily. All excess waste inside your body will automatically turn into muscle due to a special chemical that our older creators made for use and put into storage. The chemicals are not permanent, so we will stop injecting you when you are close to finishing. Light explained. As Light explained, Naruto noted that everything that was just explained to him was instantly remembered and stored neatly inside his mind. Slowly the void that was plaguing his mind began to become calm now that there was a connection to it. So, shall we begin? Light asked as Naruto nodded and followed Light to the chair. Naruto looked down at the chair in wonder. How could such a small thing like this bring such immense power? But there was so much more to downloader than what met the eye. Thousands of years of knowledge collected of not just themselves, but from every other species that's out there. Even of the shinobi world. Naruto sat in the chair and noticed that it began to glow bright blue along with every shelf in the building. From the chair's face, a glowing blue cord began to extract itself and move closer to Naruto's connector. Please finish as fast as possible. We have much to discuss afterwards. Light said. The blue cord shot into Naruto's connector and then, everything went black. XXXXX 2 days after Naruto disappearance. Leader Sama, I can't find him anywhere. The Nine Tails has literally disappeared, but there was a message that was left behind. An image of a man wearing a black cloak with red clouds etched across it. This is problematic, but what is the message? The man asked. There are 2 others in the room that were also listening to what Zetsu had to say. One of the people standing there was Conan. A long-term friend that has been with him through thick and thin. A sister that has seen the darker days of their past. The other was a person who helped him create this organization. This person was thought to be long dead, but has somehow survived this long. The other person's name is Madara Uchiha. I have been called upon by the gods for a time unknown, but when I fall from the heavens there will be no peace or joy. Only death and destruction will meet my wake. Zetsu said. Thank you. You are dismissed. The leader replied as the image of Zetsu disappeared. What are we to do now, Pain? Conan asked. Pain looked down to the ground in a thinking position. Any ideas, Madara? Pain asked. Madara shook his head as he himself was completely shocked as to why Naruto left the village he so dearly loved and how his scent could just disappear. Naruto couldn't have just disappeared. This is troubling. What does he mean, called upon by the gods? Madara asked out loud. Could it be that he is receiving special training? Pain replied. Whatever the reason, we still have to obtain the other Jinchuriki. Everyone still has their missions. Tell Itachi and Kisame to search for Naruto. He's still here, somewhere. Madara said. And yourself? What will you do? Conan asked Madara. Madara stood and began to walk away. I've got other plans. Madara said as he disappeared from the room. XXXXX 2 years after activating the downloader. Creator, are you awake? A voice asked as Naruto slowly awakened from his deep slumber. His eyes were blurry and his head pounded with the knowledge of thousands of years of intelligence being pumped into his head. Naruto pressed a hand against his forehead as the pounding slowly began to dissipate. Ah, Creator, you are finally awake. How does it feel? Light asked as Naruto looked up at Light. Light noticed that his eyes no longer held that glow of inspiration, but of calculation and a waterfall of endless knowledge. Naruto stood from the downloader and brushed himself off. He was much taller than he used to be. The chemicals effects possibly. Great. How long has it been? Naruto asked. Roughly 2 years. You made great time as most other creators took about 3 to 4 years. Light said. Naruto nodded in understanding. I see, but did the chemicals accelerate my growth process? I seem to be taller than I should be. Naruto said as he looked down at his jumpsuit. It seems your body acted strangely to the chemicals, but no harm was done. The only difference was that your physical body should be around the age of 15. Not 14, Light said. Naruto began to look around. The year is 2520 human year, correct? I understand that the Covenant is a force to be reckoned with and the humans are as well, but the Covenant is so much larger and entangles many species. Even the Forerunners would have a tough time with such a numerous adversary. Naruto said as he began to walk the halls of the large building like he made it. Light took note that Naruto probably knows all of the infrastructure architecture of almost every Forerunner facility. And the flood, an infestation that feeds of the intelligence of sentient life. A truly devastating foe indeed, but my ancestors had the technology to defeat it. It's just they waited too long. It took too much time to analyze the flood and create a counter technique against it. That is what led them to create and activate Halo. 1,000 other plans were tried and failed. They sacrificed themselves to allow the creatures of the Covenant and the humans to create their own futures, but it seems the Covenant have stumbled upon the seeds of their forgiving, and the seeds of their destruction. Naruto said as he entered a room with Light close behind. At least 18 different suits were guarded by Forerunner hardened glass. Unlike the early models of the Spartan suits which consist of armor plating, the Forerunner suits are more like combat skin. During the early Forerunner Flood War, the Forerunners were unprepared to fight a purely biological enemy and was unable to attach personal shields to any suits under the class of 16. The little suits that did obtain the PS's personal shields were extremely strong. The skins that were between 1 and 3 were considered civilian skins. 4 through 8 are for civilians with hazardous jobs. 8 to 11 are reserved for the police force and the civilian armies. 12 to 15 were worn by the military while 16 to 17 were reserved for veterans, elite soldiers, and generals. The last suit was reserved for someone special. A Forerunner that could put an end to their longtime rivals. Most of the skins looked the same. All had the same color scheme of gray and navy blue. The only difference is the change from civilian, to military, to high-ranking officers. The civilians wore only the skin with a small internal power system. The military suits, which consists of the numbers 12 to 15, had helmets that look similar the MK.IVG Spartan helmet. The lens of the helmet was maroon while the helmet itself stuck with the basic color scheme of the rest of the line, gray. The military suits also sported a larger power cell that allowed them to power their helmets and other weapons. The higher the number, the larger the power cell. The last line of combat skins were reserved for the most elite soldiers and high-ranking officers. The skins had a different pattern on them that stood out from the rest. The helmet was completely different from the lower numbers. Instead of a lens, the helmet instead sported dark holes that was impossible to see into. The suit had different shades of gray and dark blue etched into a strange formation that confused most when the design was introduced. A larger power cell that could support their new personal shields, weapons, and helmets allowed them to stay in combat for a much larger duration than the common soldier. The final skin looked much like the ones below it, but another piece of clothing was added to the final design. A cloak-like garment was thrown over top with the same design as the armor underneath. This cloak held many secrets that Naruto was not familiar with. Either the Forerunners didn't put this information for a reason, or they never had time. Naruto walked over to the stand that held the armor, labeled Class 18. So this is what the hero of the heavens wore while fighting the flood. Naruto said as he kneeled down onto one knee. Let your power flow through me as I carry on what you left behind. After trashing his old orange jumpsuit, Naruto replaced it with the number 18 armor with the cloak. Light watched as the helmet was slowly placed over Naruto's head. Quickly the connector in the back of Naruto's head connected to the helmet. Naruto looked through the dark holes only to find them not so dark. The Forerunner vision encompassed heat vision, night vision, and flood vision, which allowed him to see flood through thin walls. The helmet also automatically scanned a target and brought up all information that was stored inside of Naruto's mind. This was demonstrated to Naruto as light was quickly scanned and any information about the monitors was brought up to Naruto. I see you have chosen the Class 18 skin. A nice choice, but you have yet to master the suit. You may know what they do, but to master the suit as well as the Forerunner weapons will take extensive training. Light said. Naruto was quiet as he looked at his combat-skinned hand. After clenching his hand, Naruto looked up at his friend. Then let's get started, Naruto said. XXXXX. This search is going on for far too long. How many relics are scattered throughout this galaxy? A tall-like alien asked as two of the same-looking aliens walked down a ship. The two alien species are called Sangheli, otherwise known as the Elite. Sangheli are a Saurian species of fierce, proud, strong, agile and intelligent warriors and also skilled combat tacticians. The Sangheli form the military backbone of the Covenant due to their military skill and adeptness in battle. The Covenant, also referred to as the Covenant Empire, was a religious hegemony of multiple alien species that controlled a large portion of the Orion Arm in the Milky Way galaxy. The Covenant worships Forerunner artifacts that are scattered throughout the galaxy, including on the Sangheli homeworld, Sanghelios. Have patience, highest Graindom. The prophets are doing their best in finding the remaining artifacts. The other Sangheli said in a calm voice. This Sangheli was wearing navy blue armor with a helmet that came to a point out in front of his mouth. A single blue wing-like attachment protruding from the back of the helmet. The prophets are beginning to annoy me, Commander Yugana. We have been searching all over the galaxy for these rings and have only come up with one. Hyas said. Hyas was wearing maroon armor similar to Commander Yugana, but without the wing attachment. San, Shium, also known as prophets, are a mammal-like species who are the leadership caste within the Covenant and one of the more mysterious member races of the hegemony. Prophets appear to exert complete control over religious and political affairs, fulfilling their role as leaders. Prophets enforce a theology based on the belief that firing the halo array will start the great journey, transcending them into a godlike status. Although physically frail compared to other Covenant species, they wield near absolute power over the Covenant. They have a strong religious importance throughout the Covenant. Yugana and Hyas are a part of a special operations team that take on the most brutal and dangerous operations. Yugana was a commander that led at least 100 Sangheli into the battle Watram Spectre 9 where a heretic legion broke away from the Covenant and attempted to convert any Covenant away from their religion. Hyas also fought beside Yugana in this battle and since then has been acting strangely. Yugana quickly grabbed Hyas by the neck and slammed him into the wall of the ship. A bright white beam protruded from his hand and was a little under an inch from Hyas's neck. Do you dare undermine the prophets? Yugana shouted. Several Spec Op Ungoys, otherwise known as grunts, stopped and looked at the Ungoy are a species of small, squat bipedal arthropods in the unified races of the Covenant. They are the lowest ranking species in the hierarchy, and are frequently mistreated by almost every higher ranking race. Ungoy are primarily used as laborers or, in combat situations, cannon fodder. They are one of the later races to be introduced into the Covenant, and were the third Covenant species to be encountered by humans. They are referred to as grunts, mainly because they are considered weak compared to their superiors and also because they perform the majority of the labor required by the Covenant, but for the Ungoy that reach the rank of Special Operations Divisions, they are tougher, more intelligent, and provide excellent support roles. Spec Ops Ungoy are always deployed with Spec Ops Sangheli team leaders with specialized equipment and sometimes will be led by Ultra Grunts. These resilient, loyal, and dangerous operatives are not to be underestimated under any circumstances. If a Spec Ops Grunt's leading elite is killed, rather than panicking and fleeing, they will often seek revenge, finding cover and sending plasma grenades and plasma bolts accurately at the opponent who killed the elite. They are also much more accurate than their counterparts, and their armor is much more resilient to damage than the other Ungoy ranks. Of course not. I am simply getting annoyed at how long the great journey is taking. We have barely scratched the potential of the inner galaxy. Why are we still searching the Orion Arm? Hyas shouted. Yugana sighed as he put away his energy sword. Releasing Hyas, Yugana knew what was plaguing Hyas's mind. Yugana knew that Hyas was not the only one thinking these thoughts as well. Ever since the battle against the heretics, most Spec Ops under his command and several other Spec Ops divisions have been questioning the Covenant's motives. Hyas was Yugana's second in command. He could not lose his best man. I understand, but you must stay loyal. Do not let the heretics' propaganda fool you. Yugana said. After hearing this, Hyas seemed to calm down. I'm sorry for my outburst, but it's hard to stay loyal when the prophet's words are absolute without a say from anyone else. I fear that one day they will make a mistake and it will stir an uproar that cannot be quenched so easily. Hyas commented as he walked away from his commander. Little did Yugana know, Hyas and several others have been talking about taking action. An ancient relic told Hyas a hint of what would come to the galaxy if all the halos were activated. The little knowledge that was given to Hyas was enough to stir his beliefs in the old religion that the prophets gave them, but if this religion was wrong, then what was right? If there is a wrong then there is always a right, right? The Sangheili have always been driven by a strong sense of religious faith. Before it was towards the ancient artifacts they are still worshipping now, but it was different back then. The Sangheili believed that they must leave the artifacts alone and worship them from afar, but when the prophets fought a bloody war with them, the two came to an agreement to use the artifacts towards a combined enemy. This started the Prophet Elite Alliance, or the Covenant. If Hyas and the other weary Spec Ops were to publicly throw out their old faiths, what would they replace it with? So many questions left unanswered. Hyas sat on a bench that faced the deep space. Only time will tell Hyas whether his thoughts were truth or false. XXXXX. Well, here you go. I tried my best to explain the different Covenant races as well as the Forerunner combat skins. It's really tough to explain the Forerunners' equipment. So I'm sure they have images of the Forerunners on Google or something, but if you're too lazy like I was, then use your imagination and take what I gave you. I hope you all like my story and I hope to continue writing it. Naruto. A whisper that flowed in through one ear and bounced softly in his mind before leave through the opposite ear. Naruto continued to lay on the ground, content that he was just hearing things, and continued his deep sleep. Naruto. The voice was deeper, more ancient than what he was used to hearing around his facility. Naruto stirred as his eyes, painfully opening them to the morning that lay ahead of him, but no light entered his room. Naruto stood and looked around him. He was in a black hallway with blue lights lining the wall. Forerunner. The ancient voice shouted at the end of the hallway with such ferocity that even an elder Hokage would tremble in fear. Naruto flinched as he walked towards the rather large room at the end of the hall that also emitted the ancient rumble. The temperature was cool, but humid. A combination that one does not find easily in any world. Naruto entered the room and saw a large plant-like being sitting in front of him. 8 long tentacles was seen stretching out from base as well as its large body, which was simply its long neck with its mouth split into 3 sections. 1 on top and 2 in the lower left and right corners. The being had no eyes as well as no tongue, but the teeth inside of the being mouth was sharpened and rows of them slipped back into its mouth. The body of the plant-like creature was a throw-up green and green gas continued to ooze out of its mouth. Naruto stood before the beast in his Forerunner uniform and stared at the being with intense curiosity. What was happening here? Naruto knew he was in a dream, but it felt too real to be only just a dream. You are the last Forerunner to survive, are you not? The planet-like creature asked. Naruto said nothing as he looked up at the ancient beast. The beast laughed at Naruto's fortitude. You feeble Forerunner. You have no idea the power that I hold. The plant shouted as Naruto shook his head. True, but you are still trapped inside the installation, are you not? Naruto said as he now knew what the creature was. Deep in the memory files of his suit, the hero of the heavens came in contact with the powerful creature in front of him. The creature was labeled the Grave Mind. This was the pillar that held the flood infection together. The Grave Mind was the central intelligence hub that gave orders to the rest of the infection, but simply killing the Grave Mind's physical form would not destroy the flood infection. The Grave Mind had the unique ability to move its mind to any other intelligent life form that has been infected. The hero of the heavens has already tried this and failed to bring the results they so desperately desired. You may have trapped me in one of your horrid vaults, but we both know that some of my minions have already been released by the Covenant. I may not be able to contact them, but once the Covenant get too curious and release me, then I shall have the power I so desired. The Grave Mind shouted as its tentacles raised into the air. I shall soon infect you and gain the knowledge to defeat all that stand in path. The tentacles came crashing down onto Naruto with such quickness that Naruto had a hard time keeping up with it, but just as the tentacles were about to smash Naruto into the ground, everything went black. XXXXX. Naruto awoke in a cold sweat. Breathing heavily, Naruto looked about the room in a mixture of panic and fear. After realizing nobody was present in his room, Naruto breathed in a sigh of relief. The Grave Mind, the central intelligence of the flood. How can one destroy such a monstrosity? Naruto thought as he stood from his bed. Naruto quickly undressed himself and fit himself into his combat skin and his cloak, which the attachment of a hood was soon added by Naruto himself. Naruto then placed his helmet onto his head and quickly adjusted to his second sight. It has been a year since Naruto took his first steps off the downloader, and Naruto has restarted a lot of the downed production buildings that was once building naval ships, combat sentinels, CS, and arms. Many of the power plants scattered around the planet have also been destroyed, and the maximum amount of sentinels that are available to him are staggering low. Over the last year, Naruto has been rebuilding the power plants with the small amount of sentinels available to him, as well as starting the process of rebuilding the army and navy departments so that Naruto would be able to defend himself against any sort of attack, but the process has been slow at best. Most construction sentinels have been put to the task of maintaining the vaults on the installations and the lucky planets that hold them, so the reproduction of the navy and army departments have been slow. Naruto, himself, has been learning how his suit works. Naruto quickly learned how to use his second sight, a sight that is provided to him by his helmet, to the point that Naruto can accurately guess an enemy's next move. The second sight quickly scans and analyzes the opponent and gives Naruto the complete details of the move that an opponent is using while they are using it. Naruto has also found that the suit's internal power core can be used for all sorts of things, for example, controlling a battleship while it's in orbit and Naruto's on the ground, or pressing the power into a blade that can appear and reappear underneath his wrists. The list goes on, and Naruto was stunned by the versatility of how flexible the energy can be, but there was one thing Naruto has been immensely curious about. How to use his chakra outside of the shinobi world. Naruto knows that his chakra is locked away, because none of the other worlds supports chakra, but Naruto has a theory that may change the outlook of chakra and how one replenishes one's source. As Naruto walked up to his balcony that overlooked the ruins of a once great city, Naruto could sense the chakra flowing through the metal structures around him. They were pulsing madly with untapped chakra that they were about to burst. Naruto's theory was that one simply doesn't replenish chakra on his or her own, but the shinobi unconsciously taps into the chakra-enriched land around them to resupply their own chakra supply. As Naruto finished his theory, Naruto began to feel the chakra inside the metal objects around him and noticed that he was soothed by the mere presence of the ruins around him. The theory made sense since shinobi from the village hidden in the leaves seem to gain chakra at a slightly faster rate than other shinobi that visit the area. Also, the type of ecosystem that one shinobi is raised in is different from another shinobi's. For example, a shinobi raised in the desert will learn different techniques than a shinobi raised in the islands off to the east. Naruto has also been creating a technique that may also change the way one fights a shinobi battle. While Naruto has not been able to build up the amount of chakra like everyone else, Naruto has been learning how to control his chakra to the very fiber as well as possibly creating a style that essentially cancels out other chakra-based attacks. Naruto has also been studying mind-based styles that would suit well with his technique that he's been creating. Naruto will have to test this when the proper time comes. Naruto has an entire war department to reconstruct in. Creator, we have a problem, Light said. Naruto looked up at the floating ball in curiosity at his panicked friend. Never before has Light been so urgent before. And that would be, Vault 251 has been compromised. Light said. Naruto sighed in both grief and relief. Naruto was sad because the shinobi are too curious for their own good and relieved because Naruto was ready to go somewhere else other than here. I see. Then let's go and expect the damage. Have all of our sentinels retreated from the area? Naruto asked. Yes, they have. I have your ship prepped and ready, Creator. Light said. Then let's not waste any time. Naruto said as the two disappeared in a flash of yellow only to reappear inside of Naruto's only working ship. Naruto walked into the bridge to see 8 logistics sentinels, like the original sentinel, but they have blue metal to float up and face Naruto. Nice to see everyone. You all have our coordinates. Let's see you get there in record time. Naruto said. Just as the words left his mouth, the ship began to take off into the air. Fast. I like that. Naruto whispered to Light. That is how they are programmed. Light replied with a chuckle. Right. Let's just get there as fast as possible, shall we? Naruto said as the ship shot into space. XXXXX. Kakashi has been having a weird day to say the least. Said ninja just returned from a mission just hours before, and as soon as he stepped foot into the village, 3 Anbu dashed past him and disappeared off into the distance. Kakashi watched the Anbu's backs until they were out of sight before turning and rushing towards the Hokage Tower. The Anbu are never sent out of the village unless there is an extremely good reason behind it, and generally most, if not all, of the most veteran Jonin are warned of why it transpired. Of course, this was not always the case, as most of the more secret missions that are to be kept under the radar are hardly ever let loose to the general population, but for an Anbu team to leave the village in such a hurry and in the open like they did, Kakashi sensed that something was happening. Kakashi quickly decided that the quickest route would be to jump onto the roofs of the buildings that lined the bustling main street during its 8 o'clock rush. As Kakashi continued along his route towards the tallest building in the village, said ninja looked up into the sunny sky. The sunny sky would only deceive any who looked at it through a bedroom window in the morning, as it tricked one into thinking that it was warm and comfortable, but for any who have been in the elements of the frosty morning would know differently. As it may be sunny, a frosty breeze blew against the silver-haired ninja as he jumped across the buildings. The days have grown short and the nights long, making ninja operations much easier as the extended nightfall gives them extra time to complete their separate missions. Kakashi landed in front of the tower, and in the blink of an eye he was dashing up the stairs of the massive structure. None spared the silver-haired Jonin a second glance as he raced through the halls of the Hokage Tower, but Kakashi's swift pace soon came to a halt in front of a pair of large wooden doors. Kakashi knocked on the doors and waited for a moment before he was beckoned inside of the office that lay on the other side of the massive doors. The Jonin opened the doors before closing them behind him. As he turned to face the busty blonde Hokage, Kakashi swiftly took off his creamy tan-colored cloak and set it on a coat rack near the entrance of the office. Ah, Kakashi. Just the man I was looking for. Took your time getting here, I see. Tsunade said with a grin on her face. The question was never meant to be answered, as Kakashi could only shake his head at the childish demeanor of his leader. It took me a bit to stretch these old muscles since the mission was a simple one, but that's not the reason I rushed here. Kakashi said, ending in a serious tone. Tsunade sighed as she stood from her chair and proceeded to look out the massive line of windows that lined half of wall. I take it you saw the 3 Anbu leaving the village? Tsunade asked. Kakashi nodded in response to his leader's thoughts. I would have had a mission briefing and sent a group of Jonin in their place, but no Jonin has returned from their mission assignments yet except for yourself. I had no idea when you were going to report back, so I hastily sent a small squad of Anbu to see what's going on. What do you mean? What is happening that needs the immediate attention of an Anbu squad? Kakashi asked. Recently, a coastal city that touched the Southern Ocean simply stopped all communications to anyone. Ships that have been docked in their harbors have simply vanished, and we have no idea why. I have sent a team of Anbu to extract some information and see if it's an attack from a foreign nation or possibly something else. I see, but now that I'm here, what do you want me to do? I want you to follow up on their investigation and help them where they need it. I'll be sending some more reinforcements as they arrive, because if this is indeed an attack, then I want as many veteran Jonin and any other ninja that has seen combat there to deal with the problem. Tsunade said. This is to be considered an S-rank mission, Kakashi. Do what is necessary to complete your surveillance mission. Of course, Hokage-sama. It will be done, Kakashi said before disappearing in a blur. Tsunade also noticed that the cloak that once sat atop her coat rack disappeared with Kakashi as well. XXXXX 3 days later. This place has been hit hard. Light said as he hovered next to Naruto, who in turn didn't say anything in response. The two were standing atop a ridge that overlooked a massive city that lined the cliffs beneath them on the sandy beach of the Southern Ocean. The city extended out into the salty waters of the ocean and was only supported by a mixture of wood and stone. Naruto was impressed that a city like this existed and noted that it reminded him of the city of Venice, Italy on the planet Earth, homeworld of the humans. What are we to do about this? Light asked. Naruto stayed silent for a moment before shaking his head in grief. If we don't want the entire planet to be infected like Doisak, position the ship to stay directly above Kalodic. Charge up an IB and fire when I give the command. Naruto said as he looked up to see the sun setting to the west. The fires that engulfed the city continued to burn, stretching its tentacles to neighboring structures that woefully stood next to them. The ash and smoke that was lifted into the air above the once sprawling city was almost thick enough to block out the sun that lays against the western side of the city. It was ironic, Naruto found, how a city that lives atop water was now burning to the ocean below by an ancient enemy that no one before him has ever seen before. Naruto shook his head of any distracting thoughts and focused on the task at hand. Naruto needed to practice his new technique before he encountered any ninja resistance that will come to recon the city. Naruto needs to hold off any ninja before they entered the town and discovered what has happened to the population. XXXXX 3 hours after Kakashi's departure to Kalodic. Man, I'm hungry. A blonde ninja whined as she walked along the bustling streets of Kohono. At her side was her friends Sakura, Haruno and Tenten, and their objective was their favorite place to eat, Ichiraku Ramen Bar. Soon after Naruto left the village and began to appear on the bingo books as an S-class missing nin, the trio of girls began to go and, at one time, eat at Naruto's favorite restaurant. At first the girls just wanted to eat there, if only once, to remember their once happy comrade that brightened everyone's day just by a passing glance at Naruto's once bright and vibrant smile. But after eating the, as Naruto used to say, heaven in a bowl, the trio of girls have not been able to stop themselves from returning to Naruto's old, sacred place, and are now seen sitting at the ramen stand at least 2 to 3 times a week. We know, we are almost there, so shut up. Sakura retorted at the high-pitched annoyance that was Ino's voice. Well, if you would have stopped your training sooner, then we would have then sooner. Ino shouted back at the pink-haired Kunoichi. It's not my fault, Tsunade-sensei wanted me to finish my exercise before leaving for lunch. Sakura retorted stubbornly. Yeah, well, Ino began, but was cut off by Tenten. Will you both shut up? We're here, okay? Tenten shouted before Ino finished her rude remark. The two verbally brawling girls squealed as they ran underneath the cream-colored flaps and sat down in their regular seats. Tenten sighed at their antics and followed the two towards her own seat. As said Kunoichi sat down, Sakura turned towards Tenten as she sat down between the two hot heads. Pork right, Sakura said as Tenten nodded in response. Sakura smiled at the response. Good, because that's what I ordered for you. Thanks, Tenten said as the three sat in a momentary silence before a question sprang into Tenten's mind. What do you think Naruto ordered whenever he came here? I never thought of it or thought to ask. Ino said as another silence soon followed. The three girls tossed around what type of ramen Naruto used to eat in their minds until finally Sakura shrugged. I don't know, but I think it's chicken. Sakura said with a grin. Well, I think he used to order steak. Ino said as she folded her arms. You only suggested that because that's what you order. Sakura shouted as she shot her arm across Tenten with a raised finger pointing towards Ino. Well, you only suggested chicken because that's what you order. Ino retorted as she extended her arm back at Sakura. I think you're both wrong. I bet you he ordered pork. Tenten shouted, getting involved in the argument. You're on. I bet you my bowl of ramen that I'm right. Sakura said as she slapped her hand down onto the counter in front of Tenten. Deal. The other two Kunoichi shouted as they slapped their hands down onto Sakura's hand. The trio of girls did not have wait for much longer as the owner's daughter came walking out of the back room with 3 bowls of steaming ramen. Here you guys go. A steak bowl for Ino, a chicken bowl for Sakura, and a pork bowl for Tenten, the brown-headed cook said as she laid the bowls in front of their respective receivers. Hope you guys. Ayame. Ino interrupted, slightly surprising the young cook. What was Naruto's favorite ramen bowl? Wah, what? Ayame said in slight shock at the urgency of such a weird question. Why would they care what Naruto ate here? Whenever Naruto came here to eat, what was his favorite bowl of ramen? Sakura said in a much calmer voice as her blonde-haired friend. The gears in Ayame's head began to turn as the question was repeated to her in a much more relaxed tone. Oh, Naruto's favorite bowl of ramen. Well, that's easy. It's, Ayame started, but was cut off when the owner and head chef, Tuki, walked out of the back room wiping his hands with a damp rag. That, my young customers, is a secret that we're not allowed to give away. Tuki said, interrupting Ayame as she went to tell the secret. Why not? Tenten said in disbelief that they were not allowed to give away such a simple secret. Because as a head chef we are not allowed to give away another customer's orders because of our oath of secrecy. Now if you would please continue your meal as I have to cook some backup chicken for the nighttime rush. Tuki said as he looked up at the clock during his speech and began rushing through it. Quickly the older man raced back into the back to prepare for the coming rush that night. Ayame shook her head and looked at the young girls that sat at the bar. I don't know what he is talking about, but Naruto liked a combination of different meats in his ramen. Ayame said with a smile. A combination? Sakura asked in question. Yup, he liked a combination of chicken, steak, and pork. Ayame said as shout came from the back room. I thought I said we weren't able to tell them what Naruto ate. Tuki shouted from the back room. Oh, will you shut it about your oath of secrecy? Nobody actually believes you when you say that. Ayame shouted back as she walked back into the back room. But the oath, Tuki began, only to be interrupted by a loud bash that sounded like a pan hitting someone's head. Shut up, Ayame shouted in an annoyed tone. The three girls looked at each other and snickered at Tuki's unfortunate position, but the snickering slowly died away as the girls looked down at their respective bowls in silence. Sakura sighed as she picked up her chopsticks and was the first to break them in two. I guess we all win the bet and get to keep our food. Sakura said as she looked over at the other two girls. I guess you're right. Let's dig in. Tenten shouted as the other two kunoichi broke apart their own set of chopsticks and began digging into their meals. The three girls shot through their meals so fast that even Naruto would have been proud at the speed they produced. After the meal, the girls began talking about how their training has been progressing over the past few months. Sakura has found that learning how to use Tsunade's furious chakra-infused punches has been a lot easier than expected. Simply charge chakra into a tiny point at the tip of her fist and boom. The ground quakes under her power, but healing has been harder than expected. At the beginning of Sakura's training, Sakura thought that healing would be her strong suit, not chakra precision. Although Sakura has yet to master the technique, Sakura has been quickly learning the strings of the technique. Ino has yet to officially say what she has been interested in learning, but her father, Inoichi, has been training her extensively in their clan's special techniques. While she has been having trouble learning them to the extent of her father, Ino has also been improving at a fast rate like her fellow kunoichi. Tenten, like the others, has been improving on past techniques that has seen their fair share of disappointments. Over the past few months, Tenten has found flaws in her jutsu that went unseen by her and her teammates before entering the Chunin exams. After a few months of honing her skill set, she has improved on her most famous move, the Twin Rising Dragons. Wow, you finally found the flaw in your jutsu, Ino said with excitement over her friend's completion of her jutsu. Yup, it took me a few months, but I finally got it down. Tenten said with a smile that brimmed with much pride. I wonder what Naruto and Sasuke has been learning all this time. Sakura asked offhandedly. The two girls looked over at Sakura, who was in deep concentration. Of course Sakura would be thinking of her two lost teammates, why wouldn't she be? When Sasuke and Naruto left, the two shinobi were much more powerful than their female counterpart and Sakura had to rely on Sasuke or Naruto to complete the missions that they were sent on. This was something Tenten did not like and immediately talked Sakura into finding someone to train her. I'm not sure, but I'm sure Sasuke has been learning precision jutsu while Naruto has been learning jutsu that would do as much damage as possible on a larger scale. Ino said. I don't know about that, Ino. Tenten said. What do you mean, you don't know? Naruto has always been one for bright and flashy jutsu that would get him noticed. Ino said, but from what Gai-sensei, Neji, and Lee have been telling me from their spar they had before Naruto left, his style has completely changed. It has turned from sudden outbursts to precision and guessing his opponent's next move. Tenten said, now that you think about it, that kind of coincides with his personality change that he had since he got back from trying to save Sasuke. Sakura said with a sad expression on her face. The two other girls looked at each other with a grim expression on both of their faces. Girls, a voice shouted from behind them. The three girls turned to see a thin young kunoichi standing behind them. Kurenai-sensei, Tenten shouted as the three girls stood from their stools and walked over to the red-eyed Jonin. Hey Tenten, have you seen Hinata anywhere? We need to get moving because we have a mission now. Kurenai shouted in a rushed tone. Yeah, she left with some of the other Hyuga on a family affair. Why, what's going on? Tenten asked. Look, I'll have to tell you while we're on the way, but we need to find two others and head out now. Kurenai said in rushed panic. We'll help you, Sakura volunteered, Ino nodding in an affirmative notion. Really? Well that's great, let's get moving now, Kurenai said as she turned and ran down the street. The three girls looked at each other before quickly following their sudden mission leader. Kurenai-sensei, please, tell us what's going on. Sakura shouted as they struggled to keep up with their sensei. The city of Kalodic has went black and they are sending us to help 3 Anbu and Kakashi to scout the situation. Since we are running extremely low on manpower at the moment, I was asked to take a makeshift genin team along with me. This will be a simple recon mission, nothing to worry about. Kurenai said. What about supplies? Tenten said as they were soon on the roofs of the buildings that lined one of the several streets that entangled the village that was their home. We'll get supplies on the way. We just need to get moving now. Kurenai shouted as they landed in front of the gate where a guard looked up at the group. The 4 of us are leaving for a mission. Let the Hokage-sama know who are with me. Now let's go. We need to keep moving. Kurenai said as the 4 shot off into the horizon. The guard looked confused, but soon shrugged it. He wrote the 4 kunoichis' names and stored it away. This would let the parents of the 3 younger kunoichi know where their daughters are when they don't return tonight. This will also let the Hokage know who Kurenai choose to take with her on the mission she assigned her. Exactly how far away is Kalodic anyway? Ino asked as they rushed down the path heading towards the south end of the country. About a 3 days journey. Kurenai said, getting 3 collective size in return. This was going to be a long trip. XXXXX. Training. That was all Naruto could think about as he flowed his chakra in and through out his body with several large rocks floating around him in a telekinetic orbit around Naruto. Naruto was sitting on the cliff that looked out over the ravaged city below with his eyes closed and his helmet off to his side. Again, for the umpteenth time, Naruto flowed chakra to his eyes and again he was surprised by the outcome. The second sight that his helmet once provided to him was activated without his helmet on. Naruto opened his eyes, but, unknown to Naruto, his eyes held an inhuman blue that filled his entire eye with the strange glowing color. How is this happening? Naruto thought to himself as he concentrated on his hand as he lifted it up in front of him. His eyes quickly read the object that was Naruto's hand and the information was quickly read to him in his mind. What is going on? My scanning ability. I can use it as if it's a dujutsu. I knew my second sight would be a vital part in my new technique, but be able to use it without my helmet, interesting. I may be able to use this too. Wait, they are here. Naruto stood from his sitting position before 3 figures appeared in the clearing behind him. The three figures wore different masks, but identical uniforms. The masks wear a lion, boar, and an eagle. Who are you? The Anbu with the lion mask asked. You are Anbu, correct. You certainly did make good timing as it only took you 69 hours to get here. Did you ever stop for a break? Naruto asked as he lifted his hood over his head and turned towards three tan-cloaked ninja. The Anbu were unable to see the eyes of the person in front of them as the area from the bridge of his nose and up was covered in darkness. We'll ask you again. Who are you and what are you doing here? Lion asked. Naruto shrugged and looked up into the sky to see a red star high above them with the setting sun in the west. 70% charge complete, creator. Light transmitted to Naruto, but said message was heard in Naruto's head. The charging of my ship is taking too long. We need more power conduits rebuilt if I want to be able to fire a blast that won't take 3 days to charge up. Naruto thought. Is that smoke? The one with the eagle mask asked. The voice was more feminine than Amon's voice, leading Naruto to believe that the one bearing the eagle mask was indeed a female. As the Anbu wearing the eagle mask began walking forward towards the edge of the cliff, Naruto's hands began glow the same inhumanly blue that his eyes were glowing a moment ago. Eagle and the other Anbu quickly sensed the danger and jumped back towards a tighter, more defensive, formation, but Naruto ended up pointing his arm and hand behind him. Suddenly an enormous blue wall appeared behind him and then, just as swiftly as it appeared, disappeared. No more smoke was seen behind the invisible wall that once gave worried eyes to the leaf ninja. What was that? Boar shouted in an angry tone. Naruto looked over at the Anbu with the boar mask and shook his head. Is that all you three can do? All you've done so far is ask incompetent questions that I will not reveal. Please tell me what your plan is as I am quite curious what it will be. Naruto said in monotoned voice. Boar began to get angry as his fists clenched as his brain screamed at him to punch this person in the face. If you don't move we'll be forced to move you ourselves. Lion said as he reached back for his sword. Eagle soon followed suit while Boar pulled out two kunai. I wouldn't underestimate me. I might have a small amount of chakra stored within me, but it's how you use it that counts. Naruto said as his eyes sprang to life in that strange bluish glow. Seems the boar is a muscle brute with little to no ninjutsu training. Eagle seems to be a lightning-based user with a strong suit in kenjutsu. Lion is about the same as Eagle except with fire, but I must be wary. They are Anbu after all. Naruto thought. I was hoping to be able to rip apart someone more powerful. Not someone as scrawny as you. Boar shouted with a laugh before disappearing from view. Naruto quickly ducked underneath a kunai slash that went screeching over his head. Naruto rolled out of the way of the attack and looked up at the Anbu only for Eagle to come in from Naruto's side with an lightning-enhanced sword. Naruto quickly extended a blade from his wrist and parried the attack. Naruto took quick note that a chakra-infused blade would not be simply sliced through at mere contact with his more potent energy blade. Naruto then focused his power into his telekinetic abilities and swiftly swiped his hand across her face. A strong invisible punch smashed her in the temple into Naruto's side. The sudden blow to the Anbu's temple was quick and effective as the female Anbu was out cold on the chilled ground. Naruto found that telekinetic powers were not so hard to obtain once one applied chakra into one's intense concentration to manipulate an object or, in Naruto's recent case, the air itself. You're dead, little man. The brutish Anbu shouted as he blindly charged Naruto. Naruto was caught by surprise at the new fast pace of the large Anbu as said ninja smashed Naruto into a nearby tree. A glowing shield covered Naruto as the Anbu eased off Naruto, letting him drop to the ground. Naruto looked up at Boar, only to see a kunai being brought down onto him. Naruto quickly brought his own hidden blade and sliced straight through the kunai. Quickly following up the Anbu's surprise, Naruto jumped up and shoved his overblade into the brute's stomach. Boar stumbled back as he held his wound in shock. You motherfucker. I'll kill you for that. Boar shouted as he shot his remaining kunai at Naruto who shakily dodged the attack as it rocketed through the tree behind him. Naruto was still a little shaky from his blow against the tree a few seconds earlier, but still managed to dodge nonetheless. Boar was on Naruto in a hot second as Boar picked Naruto up by the collar and brought him closer to his face. Boar's breath smelled like a combination of rotten fish and the garbage out in the back of an old alley that has been decaying over the past few years. You remind me of someone, but who? Boar said into Naruto's face. Naruto grinned as he smashed his hands against the sides of the Anbu's temples. This was no normal strike that would still force even the strongest man to shoot back in pain. Naruto shot 2 blasts of telekinetic power into the Mon's brain and, in essence, blacked out the brute that would not go down by conventional means. The Anbu fell backwards with his eyes lifted into the back of his head while, at the same time, dropping Naruto from his deadly grip. After Naruto stood and brushed himself off, Naruto questionably looked over at the only remaining Anbu. Something was off and the only remaining Anbu knew that Naruto sensed it. You question why those Anbu that you fought were easy to bring down. Lion said with a perk in his voice. Well, those, Anbu, weren't Anbu at all. Those were simply Chunin disguised as Anbu. Why did you do that? Naruto asked as he stood and reconfigured his eyes onto the remaining ninja. Naruto insistently noticed the vast amount of experience that surrounded his demeanor. Naruto may not be able to know the exact amount of chakra like someone from the Hyuga clan, but Naruto can accurately guess. The Anbu shrugged at the question. As if he didn't even care for the lives of the ones that were knocked out earlier. We are running low on manpower and we needed a way to show other nations that we are still strong by sending out veteran ninja, but enough about us. Tell me what you have been up to, Naruto. Lion said. This caught Naruto off guard. How did he figure out so fast? How did you know? Naruto asked as he straightened himself and looked the Anbu up and down. Lion began to laugh at the question and continued his rolling laughter until he began to have trouble breathing. As Lion calmed down he wiped away a fake tear on his mask. You really don't know who I am, do you? Lion said. Naruto simply stared back at the man with his glowing blue eyes burning into the mon's soul. This was enough of an answer to get Lion onto another laughing spree. You can't be serious. I spent all that time looking over you and you still don't know who I am. Naruto was confused. Looking over you? What was this crazy Anbu talking about? As the crazed Anbu stopped his laughter once more, Lion decided it was fit to tell the young Jinchuriki what he was talking about. You see, when you were a child back in the village, the Hokage assigned special squads of Anbu to keep an eye on you and keep you safe. We were called blanket squads and we kept secret watch over you at all times. Hidden in the shadows, we stopped you to keep you safe from any drunken citizen or angry mob that came your way. Lion explained. 2 questions. 1. You guys hardly did your job as I was chased by mobs and beaten by drunken people all the time. 2. How am I supposed to remember you when you guys were always in the shadows? Naruto asked. Lion shook his head in dismay. Because there were times where we stopped the crowds from following you. We would lead them off into a different direction with a genjutsu, but the beatings. Well, let's just say some Anbu weren't so fond you. The only Anbu that actually saved you from any trouble was Raven and Wolf, but Raven is long gone and Wolf left the Anbu and became a Jonin. As for remembering me, I took a kunai knife to the chest for you and from what you're telling me, you never noticed it. Lion said as he shook his head in disappointment. But hey, what can I say? If you did remember me then I would have made your death quick and painless, but since you didn't. Lion didn't have to finish his sentences. Naruto knew exactly what the Anbu meant. Lion swiftly pulled out his katana and as soon as it was out fire engulfed the blade in a magnificent show of brute power and delicate handling. So tell me why would you want to kill me? Naruto asked as his eyes analyzed the blade's power and depth. It was just a simple katana with fire elemental chakra being coursed through it. You see, you have an enormous bounty on your head. Even for a genin you are one of the most highly sought after missing ninja around. Lion exclaimed as Naruto felt a grin come over Lion's face, even underneath the mask. And I got my first shot at taking your head back to Konoha. Lion then disappeared into a blur of pure speed. Naruto was barely able to read Lion's movements before quickly jumping to the side as Lion appeared behind him and swung his sword at Naruto from a distance. A blade of pure fire was sent vertically at where Naruto once was. Naruto then barely dodged another strike from a different angle. Then another and another. This is getting us nowhere. I can keep dodging like this, but these close calls will eventually drain my shield away. Naruto thought as Lion was getting just as agitated as Naruto, who was simply dodging all of his attacks. Is that all you know how to do? Dodge and telekinesis? Lion shouted as he shot another strike at Naruto. Naruto was unable to dodge this and lifted his arm to protect himself. The fire blade smashed into his shield as it wrapped around Naruto's arm and into the rest of his body. Naruto's shield held, but was severely weakened from the attacks brought upon earlier. But Naruto had no time to rest as Lion was preparing another strike that was much more powerful. Damn it, even if I do have complete control of my chakra I don't have the speed to dodge all of the attacks that are brought down upon me by an Anbu. This is bad, Naruto thought as the fire that engulfed Lion's sword grew steadily larger as time went by. You will die Naruto Uzumaki. Kaden. Gukaku no Jutsu. Lion shouted, but just Lion finished his jutsu. Naruto quickly built up an extremely bright light in his hand and released it right when Lion was in the middle of casting his jutsu. Naruto never called out the name of his jutsu, but figured it was just best to name it Uchikesu. Lion followed through with his jutsu, but then noticed that his jutsu was gone. All the chakra that was spent conjuring up the jutsu dissipated into the air around him. Lion looked at his sword and still saw the fire flickering at its normal rate as it did before he used his jutsu. All that chakra, what happened? Lion looked down at Naruto to see said forerunner's blades retracted from underneath his wrists in anticipation. Lion growled as he dashed towards Naruto, flaming sword in hand. Lion may not know what happened to his jutsu, but he would not lose to such a young kid. The two men clashed as one tried to overpower the other. Naruto's hands began to glow blue as Lion's sword turned red with fire-influenced chakra. Lion looked into Naruto's glowing blue eyes as they pushed against each other. Lion used to like Naruto, idolized him as a hero, but when left and abandoned them, his thoughts changed. As most of the ninja and civilian population of Konoha, they saw Naruto as a traitor and deserved to be killed for treason. As shallow as Konoha was, they thought that Sasuke should be taken back in and sheltered from any outside forces that wished to control him, but in that case, wouldn't they be contradicting themselves? Lion's mask soon was thrown off into the distance as Naruto came face to face with opponent. Lion had brown hair and green eyes as he looked at Naruto with such hatred and betrayal. Naruto was about to give up, but Lion knew better and grinned at Naruto as the two continued their push for opportunity. Behind Naruto another lion appeared. A shadow clone, Naruto thought as a leg was crushed into what remained of Naruto's shield. Naruto was sent flying into a tree where Naruto slid to the ground and his hood slid off the top of his head. Lion slowly walked over to the downed ninja. You are a tough one, Naruto. Even though your chakra was not at the height of what I believed that you would have by now, you still made do. You were a worthy opponent and your head will be perfect for my wall as my most prized kill. Lion said as he stood in front of Naruto and as he lifted his sword, Naruto felt a ting of something outside his own realm of thought. Naruto was beginning to panic. Hundreds of plans flew through his head, only for each to end up with the same result. Naruto was out of options as he looked up into Lion's eyes as said Anbu brought down the gauntlet. But as the blade was brought down upon him, thoughts streamed into his mind. Naruto's mind became a crash course for so many different thoughts and as he stumbled to try and organize the thoughts streaming into his head, everything froze. XXXXX. Kakashi swiftly jumped from limb to limb, quickly dashing through the forest towards his destination. Kakashi knew that two of the so-called Anbu were Chunin in disguise as well as Lion's lust for money, but as Kakashi neared the cliff that sat comfortably above the bustling harbor town below, Kakashi felt two chakras clash against one another in a ferocity that matched no other. One was filled with the fire and rage that screamed fire elemental chakra, but the other was different. Unlike any Kakashi has felt before. The second's was filled with an almost metallic chakra that crossed into an almost water-filled element. Who could have metallic chakra? Kakashi burst through the forest brush and onto the cold ground. The scene surprised Kakashi as he looked around at the burns scattered about the clearing and the two downed Chunin. Finally, Kakashi looked over to see Lion standing in a position that looked as if he was about to finish someone off that would be leaning against a tree that stood in front of him, but when Kakashi saw a hooded man looking out over a cliff, Kakashi became suspicious. Hello, Kakashi. It certainly has been a while. The hooded man said with his back facing Kakashi. Kakashi was not surprised that the hooded man knew who he was, as Kakashi was famous throughout the ninja world. Who are you and what has happened here? Kakashi said as Lion's eyes rolled into the back of his head as he slumped to the ground. The hooded man shook his head as he turned towards Kakashi. Glowing blue eyes stared back at Kakashi as said ninja mentally jumped. You will learn my name soon enough. As to what has happened here, it was simply self-defense. The monk's voice said inside of Kakashi's head. Wait, am I hearing things? Kakashi thought as said man looked deeply into Kakashi's eyes. No, I am telepathically talking to you. The man said as drool began to slip out of Lion's mouth. What did you do to him? Kakashi demanded out loud. Kakashi felt insecure talking inside of his own mind and sought to bring the conversation out into the open. This man tried to kill me, so I wiped his mind of any useless thoughts. The man said. Kakashi walked over to Lion and inspected him. You see, I had no idea I had this power until I was on the verge of death, but thanks to that man there I discovered my newfound power. Kakashi shook his head as he stood up and looked at the hooded figures back that stood by the cliff's edge looking out over the sea below. You still haven't told me your name, Kakashi said, but Kakashi quickly jumped backwards as Lion swiftly stood and sent a flaming strike hurtling towards Kakashi. Kakashi dodged the attack and pulled out a kunai at the same time. Lion looked at Kakashi and grinned. My name is Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. Lion said as Kakashi's eyes widened as he looked over at the hooded man who was looking back over his shoulder with those glowing eyes of his. Eyes that felt like he was reading every thought that passed through his mind. Eyes that felt like Naruto was touching, searching, every secret thought and past experience that Kakashi worked so hard to lock away so long ago. XXXXX. Okay guys, I am so sorry for the extremely long wait, but life has seriously punched me in the face and I have had absolutely no extra time on my hands. Between school, work, the gym, and other activities I have had no time to write this and I'm so sorry that I have neglecting this story for so long. I hope you guys enjoy this chapter as I have high expectations for this story. Please also note that this is not a super powerful Naruto story. Please continue reading and you'll see what I mean in the near future. Well, here you guys go and I thanks for anyone for the kind reviews as that's honestly the reason why I enjoy writing these stories. Hope you guys don't punch me too hard as it has been a while since I've written a chapter. Also here's a shout out to Inuboy86 for reminding me that I still have a story to write. Kakashi was shocked at what Lion just said. Naruto, what was he doing here? Kakashi lowered his kunai in shock as he stared at his former student. Nah Naruto, Kakashi said with his only visible eye widened. Naruto simply stared back in apathy as all visible emotions showed that Naruto simply didn't care about the condition of Kakashi's shocked state. Is that truly you? Naruto looked back out towards the sea as Kakashi gripped his kunai harder at Naruto's response, or lack thereof. Kakashi knew Naruto hurt these ninja for a reason, but if Naruto was not going to tell him the reason then he had no choice. Kakashi's grip on the kunai he was holding loosened as Lion lowered his flaming sword slightly. Naruto, is this your doing? Kakashi asked. Naruto continued to leave his back turned towards Kakashi as silence ensued the clearing. Kakashi stared at the back of Naruto's hooded head as millions of thoughts ran through Kakashi's mind. Why has Naruto returned? Why did he attack the ninja before him? Is he the reason the city went black? Why is Lion under the control of Naruto and is answering all of said missing nin's questions and how was Lion defeated so easily by Naruto? Kakashi looked at Lion in question, but to Kakashi's surprise Lion's eyes held nothing. Emotionless eyes bore holes into Kakashi's being as the elite Anbu stared unblinkingly at Kakashi. Naruto's silence gave Kakashi the answer to his question as Kakashi struggled with the realization that Naruto could be the reason why a city would stop all communication to everyone, near or far. I see. So that's how it's going to happen. Naruto, please turn yourself in. I don't wish to fight you, Kakashi said as he lifted his headband to reveal his Sharinganai. Naruto stayed silent as Lion positioned himself between Kakashi and Naruto. Looks like I'm going to have to fight Lion before getting to Naruto. This will be just like old times, Lion. Kakashi thought as Kakashi clashed blades with mind-controlled Anbu. Naruto was having trouble of his own at the moment as he controlled the Anbu behind him. The trouble area was trying to control more than one mind at once. Naruto lucked out when he took control of Lion's mind as Lion was unprepared for a mental attack and thus gave Naruto the element of surprise. The same goes for his telekinesis when he used his newfound ability to knock out the two Chunin. Naruto just learned this new ability and was trying to extend his reach to Kakashi before said Jonin could raise a shield to stop him. Naruto was assuming that Kakashi was taught some type of anti-mind reading technique from the Yamanaka clan for if he was ever captured by an enemy he would some sort of defense against any mind-reading shinobi. Naruto was also trying to steady the flow of information that his clones were dispersing as they fought against the flood in the city below. It was true, Naruto has been fighting the flood inside the city for the past few days, using a mass amount of clones in hopes of saving the little amount of civilians that are left. Still, Naruto was only able to save a mere 37 people from the grip of the flood, and said people are now far away from the city. This may not seem like a lot, but to the families he did save, it meant the world to them, and that's all Naruto truly cared about. As Naruto worked on controlling the Anbu and the clones that fought in the city below, a faint voice appeared in Naruto's head. Creator, we have a slight problem. We are going to have divert even more of your suit's personal power supply away, as well as thousands of sentinels if you ever hope to fire in the next few hours. Light said through his connector. Naruto was now agitated. Not only did Naruto's shield take another hit, but thousands of sentinels that were working to fix the power cores were shut down for the time being. Fine, leave me some power to put into my shield. I may need that defense later if my pawn falls. Naruto replied as he looked over towards the battle. Lion was holding his ground, but Kakashi had the upper hand and Naruto knew it. Kakashi was a powerful shinobi, and Naruto knew that over time Kakashi would eventually win. So, Naruto needed to quickly push as much chakra into an assault onto Kakashi's mind while also holding onto Lion's at the same time. The painful migraine seemed to flow on like a never-ending river as an invisible beam, that only one with mind-reading powers could see, extended out towards Kakashi. Lion, wake up. Whatever Naruto has done to you, you can fight it. Kakashi shouted at his fellow ninja. Kakashi's pleas seemed to fall on deaf ears as Lion slung another fire slash towards Kakashi. Said ninja nimbly dodged the strike as something weird happened. Something like a feather began to tickle on the side of Kakashi's head until what felt like a worm began to wiggle inside Kakashi's skull. What is this? Kakashi thought as he pressed his hand against the spot that the worm entered. Suddenly something racked his brain and Kakashi knew what was happening. Wait, this is. It was too late. Kakashi gave Naruto too much time and now Kakashi was paying for it. The worm that embedded itself inside of Kakashi's head seemed to burst out into a million different directions as thoughts not his own began to appear at the forefront of his mind. Kakashi fell to one knee as the overwhelming flood of thoughts entered his brain. Pain began to throb at the very notion of a thought being conjured up by himself, and Kakashi knew that Naruto was the cause of this pain, but at the same time Kakashi knew that Naruto reading all of his thoughts, past experiences, and learnings that really got to him. Naruto learned a lot from the brief moments that he was in Kakashi's mind. While Naruto scanned through Kakashi's brain, Naruto learned that his theory on chakra was not completely false, but was simply a thing called nature chakra. Naruto was enjoying this wealth of information as blanks in how the chakra system worked were quickly filled. Naruto now completely understood, but Naruto knew that more was needed to be learned. Information that Kakashi didn't know left blanks on why Naruto was unable to access his chakra on a different planet. Naruto decided he would seek these answers at a different time as Kakashi began to fight back against Naruto's control. Pain, unlike any other, flooded Kakashi's mind as secret information was scanned and copied by the powerful mind reader. Kakashi could honestly admit that this battle was one of the toughest he has ever fought, but the way Kakashi fought back was extremely simple. All Kakashi had to do was think, but if Kakashi thought of anything, a searing pain would envelope his entire mind and Kakashi's mind would almost want to give up. This was troublesome as his mind just wanted to die and become a servant to the one that was torturing it. To become completely brain dead and let Naruto have complete control, but Kakashi wouldn't let that happen. Kakashi needed to think, to keep a leverage on what was reality and what was fake. So, Kakashi thought of his friends and the other ninja back home. Pain began to push against Kakashi's thoughts at the increase of brain activity within Kakashi's mind. Kakashi looked up at Naruto, who was simply staring back at him with those glowing blue eyes as sweat was seen dripping from Naruto's chin. Naruto was having a hard time as well. Lion was now laying on the ground, passed out as Naruto most likely pulled most of his chakra out from Lion and into Kakashi, but Kakashi knew he was gaining the upper hand. The pain began to die away and the worm that Kakashi felt a while ago was gone. Naruto fell to his knees as Kakashi picked himself up off the ground. Fatigued, but still able to fight, Kakashi walked up to Naruto. You will come back to Konoha with me and stand trial for what you have done. Kakashi said as Naruto never replied. Naruto looked at the ground as four ninja appeared into the clearing behind Kakashi. Kurenai, Ino, take Naruto back to Konoha. Sakura, Tenten, tend to the wounded. Kakashi ordered. Yes. All four of the female ninja replied unquestionably. While Kurenai and Ino took Naruto off and Sakura and Tenten worried about the wounded, Kakashi walked over to the edge of the cliff that overlooked Galactic, but to his surprise nothing looked wrong. Be right back, Kakashi said as he jumped off the cliff, surprising the two remaining girls. As Kakashi ran down the side of the cliff, Kakashi noticed that nobody was out on the street. Once Kakashi reached the town below, Kakashi's earlier thought was confirmed. Where was everyone? It looked as if everyone simply got up and left. Kakashi was baffled as he looked in all the windows, only to see nothing. Then Kakashi saw something at the end of the street. The person's back was turned towards Kakashi and the said person was wearing a gray cloak, much like Naruto. Kakashi shouted as the familiar cloaked man turned his head to show those familiar glowing eyes. Naruto then looked back down the street before dashing down a side alley. Naruto, wait, how did you escape? Kakashi quickly gave chase to Naruto as the two ninjas slipped through alley to alley, roof to roof, until Naruto stopped at the edge of a roof that overlooked a large courtyard. Kakashi then tackled Naruto off the two-story building and into the street below. After landing harshly, Kakashi grabbed Naruto's cloak. What did you do to the people of this city? How did you get here? Where the fuck did you go? What happened to you? Kakashi shouted as he looked into Naruto's glowing blue eyes. Naruto said nothing in response as the Jonin lifted his fist and slammed it into Naruto's face. Blood shot from Naruto's mouth and onto the street, but to Kakashi's surprise, the blood mixed with a pool that was already there. Kakashi then looked up into his horror. Naruto's blood was no the only one staining the ground. Thousands upon thousands of people lay, piled up into an enormous mountain of blood and death. Kakashi's eyes widened in disbelief as his body went numb. Naruto then gently stood from his position underneath Kakashi as the hood that once covered the top of his head fell behind Naruto. Was this what Naruto did to the people of this city? Massacred them. Men, women, children, babies, all were piled up in this decaying mound of flesh and bone. After a few moments of silence, Kakashi voiced all his questions into one word. Why? Kakashi asked as Naruto looked at the dead that filled the courtyard, then back to Kakashi, and to Kakashi pure astonishment Naruto said. To test the limits of my power. Then, Kakashi snapped. Lightning spewed from Kakashi's hand as anger filled up Kakashi's being. Pure hatred. That was all that was felt as the Chidori charged up in Kakashi's hand. I'll fucking kill you for what you did. Kakashi shouted in pure anger as his Sharingan morphed into a strange shape. Naruto simply stared back with those calm, uncaring blue eyes as Kakashi jumped to his feet and rammed the Chidori into Naruto's chest. It was silent for a moment as the electricity died down from Kakashi's attack. Blood began to run down Kakashi's arm as his once blue shirt turned dark and damp from the blood of Naruto's wound. Do you feel better? Naruto asked. Kakashi said nothing as blood began to drip out from the corners of Naruto's mouth. More silence followed as Kakashi began to think on what he just did. Does your revenge taste sweet? Kakashi looked into Naruto's eyes, but to his surprise the glowing blue that once met Kakashi before was replaced by Naruto's normal, ocean blue, eyes. Is it all that you wanted it to be? Does my death make all the deaths here in this courtyard justified for you? Kakashi looked away as he remembered the words that he spoke to Sasuke before he left to the teachings of Orochimaru. Then, everything came crashing down onto Kakashi as he realized he just killed his own student. Tears began to fall from Kakashi's eyes as his former student looked back up at Kakashi with weakened eyes. I hope you're happy now that I'm just another body in the pile of corpses. Naruto said. But, you're the one. Kakashi started as he tried to justify his killing, but Naruto cut him off. No, I'm not the one who killed all these people. I'm the one who tried to save them. Naruto said as he slowly slid off Kakashi's arm and onto the ground. Kakashi looked at Naruto's body with his mouth wide open and tears falling from eyes. Then if you didn't kill them, then who did? Kakashi thought as his mind began to feel like it was being sucked through a straw. Kakashi looked up into the air, but when he looked back down a yellowish-green creature with tentacles coming out from the bottom of it jumped at Kakashi's face as quickly as any shinobi he has seen before. But just as the creature was about to clamp onto Kakashi's face, Kakashi's mind was quickly sucked through the straw, and he was gone from that world. XXXXX. Kakashi swiftly jumped up from his prone position as the image that scared him from his mind shot him up into a standing position. Kakashi then scanned the area for any danger and to his surprise, Naruto was still standing in the same place as he was before. Standing on the cliff's edge, staring out into the endless sea. Lion lay on the ground, a bit away from Kakashi, drooling on the ground with blank eyes. The other two Chunin are still knocked out and the reinforcements Kakashi was promised have yet to arrive, but the most puzzling thing was, how was Naruto able to use a genjutsu on him? The Sharingan makes it virtually impossible for anyone to use a genjutsu on him. Then how did? Unlike most genjutsu that tricks your senses from the outside, I went into your brain and forced visions into your head. Making you believe what you saw. Not even your amazing Sharingan could counter that, I'm afraid. Naruto said as he turned towards Kakashi. Kakashi shook his head as he poured chakra into the defense of his mind. I won't let you do that again, you know that, right? Kakashi said as, for the first time in a long time, Naruto grinned. I know, Naruto said as his left hand began to glow a light blue. A slim bubble-like shell surrounded Naruto's hand as a single blade protruded from it. But since I'm running low on chakra, I'll have to rely on something else. Kakashi then pulled out another kunai as he prepared for the strike. Naruto slowly walked towards Kakashi, but then, as Naruto walked towards Kakashi, Naruto simply disappeared. Kakashi looked around him as he tried to sense for the young forerunner, but there was nothing. Suddenly a hole appeared as an invisible blade pierced Kakashi's heart from behind. Slowly Naruto reappeared into the world with his blade through Kakashi's heart, but as the clone began to fade, Naruto had a blue ball charging up in his right hand. Do you really think I'm that stupid? Naruto asked out loud as he pulled up his arm and pointed it towards a tree to his side. An enormous blue blast erupted from the blue ball of energy as it smashed against the tree, ripping through it and everything that might lay behind it. Once the blast stopped, Kakashi was seen on the ground, looking up at the trees that were destroyed, shocked at the things Naruto has displayed. Even with no chakra left, I will not let you enter that city. Naruto shouted as Kakashi stood and looked at Naruto in surprise. What was Naruto talking about? But Kakashi would never be able to ask Naruto his question as Kakashi saw that a genjutsu was being laid over Naruto. You're mine now, a familiar voice said as Naruto was suddenly stuck to a tree. Kurenai then began to emerge from said tree with a kunai to Naruto's throat. How does it feel being so helpless? I fear that a weak little genjutsu like that will not defeat me. Naruto said quietly as the tree then was caught on fire with Kurenai still fused to it. Wait, I can't release myself from it. Kurenai shouted as the fire crept closer to her. Kurenai-sensei, another voice shouted as at least 7 different types of weapons shot out from the trees. Naruto looked at the weapons and quickly sliced through all of them with his blade. Then, right after the assortment of weapons hit, a pink-haired girl shot out of the clearing with a chakra-enhanced punch reeled back and prepared to strike. Get away from her. Sakura shouted in anger as Naruto swiftly jumped backwards just as the punch was smashed into the ground, cracking the ground in its wake. Tenten and Ino soon appeared next to the trapped sensei as her genjutsu was reversed on her by Naruto. Naruto's chakra supply was close to being completely spent at this point. Naruto had to use his jutsu defensively as well as his suit's energy now that even more enemies appeared into the mix. Naruto cursed the flood for destroying most of the power plants before the end of the war as now his shield is a eighth of what they normally are. After the three genin released Kurenai from the genjutsu, the four looked to Naruto. Kakashi, are you alright? Kurenai shouted as Kakashi lifted himself and brushed himself off. After slowly walking over to the group, Kakashi decided to answer. Yes, I'm fine, Kakashi said calmly as he looked over to Naruto. Naruto only looked back as Kakashi's eyes reflected that of question rather than blind hatred that filled his being just moments ago. Who is he? Kurenai asked quietly. Kakashi said nothing for a moment before thinking of a good answer. Kakashi knew that if he revealed that it was Naruto that the genin would be morally weakened and Kakashi could not let that happen. He is the reason the city went black. Kakashi replied. I see. And the others? Kurenai asked, referring to the knocked out Anbu and Chunin. Knocked out I believe, but I'm not certain. Kakashi replied. Any information on the enemy's battle tactics? Kurenai asked. A professional mind reader and mind sculptor. He holds the power to assault and take over one's mind, so be careful. Also he has other powers that are yet unknown, so he is sure to hold other wild cards up his sleeve. Kakashi explained as Naruto patiently waited. 5 minutes remaining, creator. Light said. Naruto mentally nodded as he let the ninja talk to their heart's content. All right everyone, stick to the plan. Go, Kakashi shouted. Just as the Jonin shouted those words, Sakura and Tenten dashed towards Naruto, Sakura in front and Tenten in back. This formation, there has to be something else. Naruto thought as Tenten jumped up from behind Sakura and pulled out her 2 scrolls. Twin rising dragons, Tenten shouted, but as she began to pushing chakra into her scrolls, she was interrupted by a bright flash of light. Uchikesu, Naruto shouted as the light flashed anyone who looked towards Naruto. The chakra that Tenten had pushed into the 2 scrolls were immediately cut from her hands. All chakra that was used on her jutsu disappeared and her jutsu was cancelled, but this didn't stop Sakura from charging her way towards Naruto with chakra-infused fist. Naruto lifted his sword to block the attack, but to his surprise Sakura popped into a puff of smoke. Naruto raised an eyebrow in question, but then, just as quickly as the clone disappeared from this world, a punch was landed on the side of Naruto's face. But the punch smashed into his invisible shield that surrounded his being. Naruto was sent skidding across the ground until he came to a stop. Kurenai then appeared next to Naruto with a kunai ready to puncture Naruto's side, but Naruto sent a slash towards her as quickly as he could. Kurenai lifted her own blade to block it, but the blue glowing blade that Naruto wielded simply sliced straight through. Kurenai had barely enough time to duck under the slash and roll away before Kakashi appeared in front of Naruto with a Chidori charged and ready. Chidori, Kakashi shouted as he shot his jutsu towards Naruto. Naruto grinned and began to accumulate chakra in a spinning ball into his own hands before finally shouting. Rasengan. The observers looked at the jutsu and then realized something. The only people to have ever learned how to use that jutsu was Jiraiya, the 4th, and Naruto. And since Jiraiya was not that small and the 4th was dead, that only left Naruto, Sakura said softly as she watched as Kakashi and the hooded, glowing-eyed, man clashed their jutsu together. Naruto looked at Kakashi as he felt the last of his chakra begin to be drowned up into his jutsu. No, I can't let them enter the city. I won't let them. I must protect. Naruto thought as he appeared in a large room with water up to his ankles. Naruto knew where he was as he walked closer to the extremely large cage with the word, seal, on it. Kyuubi, would you mind lending me some of your chakra? Naruto asked politely as the great beast behind the cage stirred. You petty little mortal, do you think you can just order me, the great and powerful 9-tailed fox, around like I'm some little toy of yours? An enormous voice asked from behind the bars. Slowly Naruto watched as an enormous fox walked into view. Well, you were wrong. Yes. Now either you lend me some of your chakra or we both die. Naruto said. His blue eyes looked into the very soul of the Kyuubi as all that happened over the course of Naruto leaving the planet was an enormous haze. The Kyuubi looked at Naruto with an almost smudged look on his face. Sure, I'll lend you some chakra, but you'll have to do something in return. Naruto didn't like the way this was going. What could the Kyuubi want from Naruto? What? I want to leave this body of yours and be set free. Kyuubi said with a grin, but Naruto shook his head as a smile came to his face. Deal. Now lend me your power and let free. Naruto said. The Kyuubi was rather surprised by this and was questioning his own hearing. Did Naruto just say what he thought he just said? Yes, here you go. The Kyuubi said as he fulfilled his part of the deal. Red chakra began to fill Naruto's being as his chakra reserves began to refill themselves. On the outside, the time that passed was only a few seconds, but when Kakashi saw a red aura glow around Naruto, Kakashi began to worry. The Kyuubi, is it taking over? Kakashi thought as the Rasengan began to glow a crimson red. Slowly Naruto began to push back Kakashi as more chakra flowed into his system. Blasts of chakra shot out from the clashing jutsu as the chakra that was exerted from the 2 jutsu was nothing short of amazing, but Naruto knew better than to rely on just this one attack. Even if he did win there would still be 4 more ninja to deal with and he didn't have the time for that. So, Naruto began to charge up his mental assault on the other 4 ninja that were watching, but to Naruto's surprise Ino had put a shield up around the 4 ninja that were watching. Naruto grinned as he began to attack the mental barrier that Ino had put up. Ino's eyes shut tightly as Naruto attacked her mental barrier. Sweat began to appear on her brow as the assault began to pick up more momentum. Ino, do you really think a small barrier such as this can stop me? Naruto said telepathically to Ino. Ino was surprised that Naruto was able to talk to her, but then quickly regained focus as holes began to appear in her barrier. I was surprised that you have the ability to set up a broad defense such as this, but even then you are spread too thin. Your defense will fall and all of your secrets will become mine. Naruto said as more holes began to open themselves to the seemingly ever-washing tide that was Naruto's attack. Pain began to explode inside Ino's mind as she desperately tried to regain her barrier, but it was too late. Naruto has punctured through and all she could do was watch as the invisible line hit her in the face. Kakashi's and Naruto's jutsu then exploded from the sheer amount of chakra that was pumped into both of their jutsus. The two were sent sliding backwards until they came to a stop. Naruto, is that really you? Sakura shouted as the hooded man looked over to the pink-haired girl. No, Naruto said as he took off his hood. Sakura and Tenten gasped at the sight of their old friend. I'm not the same, Naruto, that you remember, but someone with a higher purpose than becoming Hokage. Ino, are you okay? Kurenai shouted as she ran to Ino's side. Said blonde-haired girl was laying on her side, knocked out. What did you do to her? Naruto simply looked at her with an emotionless face and shook his head. She set up a mental defense for all of you in hopes of defending you from any mental attacks, but she forgot the most important part of her defense, herself. When Kakashi and I were clashing, I attacked, mentally, the weakest part of her defense, and now she is lost in pain, trying to push me out of her mind. Naruto said as he looked up into the sky to see a single red star amongst the white ones. The moon was out and shining its glorious light down upon them. The winter breeze gently pressed against all still awake as the cloaks that the leaf ninja wore swayed in the dark night. You'll pay for that, you monster. Kurenai shouted as she disappeared from Ino's side. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the sudden release of anger that Kurenai showed. Don't most Jonin have control over their emotions? Kurenai then appeared in front of Naruto, but only for Naruto have his arm lifted with a purple ball built up into his hand. Kurenai, dodge it, Kakashi shouted as the recollection of the blast that tore through his cover earlier swarmed his mind. But, the rage-infilled Jonin heard nothing as the purple ball exploded outwards in a wide spray. Kurenai was sent shooting off into a tree on the other side of the clearing, knocking her out. Naruto looked at the downed Jonin and shook his head in disappointment. Jonin are supposed to be one of the most veteran ninja in the village. Why is it when someone gets angry they lose all tactical thought? Naruto asked out loud. Sakura looked at Kurenai in shock, then back to Naruto. Naruto, what have you been learning? Sakura asked as Tenten looked at Naruto in the same fashion. Everything, Naruto said as Ino began to stir. Ino, are you alright? Tenten shouted as Ino looked over at Tenten from her laying position. Yes, Ino said before her eyes closed weakly once more. Likely from the intense pain she just endured. You released her already? Kakashi asked. She had no information I truly needed and controlling her would only be a waste of chakra. Naruto said as he looked over to the body of Lion. As for him, Kakashi looked over to the Anbu ninja that once protected Naruto. Lion pretended to protect Naruto when he was younger and much more vulnerable, but what Lion actually did was much more sinister than that. Anything under the sun that involved hurting Naruto, Lion did for pure pleasure. Not because he held the Kyuubi, but just because Lion was that type of person. He got a kick out of the pain of others and Naruto was just the person he was able to get his hands on. Creator, it is ready to fire. Just give the order, Light said. Naruto mentally nodded, but then something out of the corner of his eye moved quickly. Naruto turned his head to see what it was, but it was too late. Eagle, the Chunin that was quickly knocked out earlier, had been staying down until the perfect moment presented itself and now was her chance. Eagle quickly picked up her sword and charged lightning through it before appearing behind Naruto. The blade was smashed into Naruto's back and, to Naruto's dismay, the electricity quickly opened a hole in Naruto's already weakened shield. Die demon, Eagle shouted. The blade then hit the combat skin that Naruto wore, but the Chunin then poured all her remaining chakra into her attack. The blade finally pierced the suit and even though the sword was not able to pierce the other side of Naruto's suit, the damage was done. Eagle breathed heavily as only a sliver of her chakra remained in her body. Naruto's eyes were wide from pure shock. The two genin gasped in terror and Kakashi only watched in dismay. Eagle pulled her blade out of Naruto and blood quickly began to flow out of the wound. You, Naruto said softly before quickly turning around, blue glowing blades extended out from beneath his wrists. You will pay for what you just did. Naruto swiftly smashed the two blades into Eagle's mask where her eyes were. Eagle screamed from the pain that ensued her as she fell backwards onto the ground whilst blood flowed from beneath her mask. Maybe now you will see the path that you have taken, Naruto said as screams continued to erupt from beneath her mask. Everyone looked at the hole that pierced the combat skin as blood flowed from Naruto's cloak. Naruto was now completely irritated from that fact that the power stations were not completely rebuilt as his shields, his armor, and everything else ran off of those stations. Naruto's shields were maybe an eighth of what they normally are and the powerful threads that gave him his last line of defense was shredded down due to this. The suit's material is not made out of some super material that is indestructible to anything and everything, but is powered by the energy that powers everything that derives under the name of Forerunner. True, some things like small arms aren't powered by these generators, but for the most part everything is interconnected. Now before someone says this was a bad idea for everything to live off of these power stations, one must understand that at the time they were built there was no need for worry as no war was coming upon them in the near future. Before the war with the Flood, the Forerunners had little to no weaponry as the race as a whole had an enormous disarmament thousands of years before. The need for weapons had vanished from their species and their sole objective was to help the intelligent species of their galaxy. To guide them from self-destruction and continue on their way towards peace. Naruto's Kyuubi chakra began to heal his wound as he turned and looked at the stunned group of ninja. Naruto was growing annoyed at their stares and quickly charged up a blast telekinetic power. Naruto then blasted it out towards them. The blast didn't hurt anyone, but simply pushed everyone away from him. The secrets this town holds must be buried along with it. All of the people of this city were doomed to destruction when the city was built upon this location. I'm sorry, but this city must perish. Naruto said as the blue wall behind him began to shatter before finally breaking. Flames could be seen rising up from behind Naruto and screams could be heard from the city. Death and chaos were the only things the leaf ninja heard from the city below. Naruto, what did you do? Kakashi asked as Naruto looked at him in question. I did nothing to the people of this city. Naruto replied. Then what do you call that? Sakura shouted as tears began to build up in her eyes. She was pointing behind Naruto and towards the city that only returned them with the sound of pain and terror. Naruto sighed as he looked up into the sky and towards the red speck above. I'm sorry, but I can't tell you everything that has happened here. Light, let's finish this. Naruto said to the leaf's confusion, but their answer soon came when an enormous red beam appeared behind Naruto and into the city beyond. A bright light blinded all who looked towards it and at the same time an intense heat washed over them like they were going through a heater. The scene lasted for about 5 seconds before the bright light disappeared. No screams came from the city beyond. Only silence ensued the clearing as only Naruto looked out over the cliff to the city below. Slowly, Kakashi and the other Genin stood, including Ino. Eagle was knocked out from the intense pain and the sudden realization of never being able to see again. Anything on the scanner? Naruto asked Light. Everything's clear. Nothing left in the city, but we are out of power, sir. You are going to have to enter the vault and use its emergency power to teleport back to the ship. Light replied. There is no more power. Naruto replied in shock. None left to spare. Much of the power that remains are still powering the many facilities around the galaxy. I'm sorry, but there is simply none left to spare. Light replied. I understand, Naruto said as he looked at the leaf ninja steadily standing. I'll be there as soon as possible. Naruto, what have you done? Kakashi shouted as he lifted himself to his feet. Naruto looked his shoulder before his eyes turned blue once again. Maybe one day, Naruto said before jumping off the cliff. Kakashi scowled before running to the cliff's edge and jumping off after him. The 3 genin ran to edge of the cliff and gasped at the scene that met them. The entire city was black from the beam that they saw earlier, but there was no fire. No smoke protruded from the black scene as the only smell was that of burnt flesh from the dead within the city. Let's go and catch him. He's going to pay for this. Sakura said, breaking the silence. Ino and Tenten nodded in return as they too wanted revenge for what they just witnessed. Kakashi landed in the ashy streets of a once vibrant city and noticed that the buildings were still intact. Kakashi was confused. What happened here? Kakashi quickly discarded these thoughts and gave chase to the fleeing forerunner, but to the Jonin's surprise Sakura, Ino, and Tenten appeared next to him as they weaved through the destroyed city. We are going to help stop Naruto. He has gone too far and has to pay for this. Sakura said to Kakashi as the looks on the girls' faces were those of revenge. At that moment Kakashi remembered what Naruto shoved into his mind. The message that Naruto relayed to him. I'm not the one who killed all these people. I'm the one who tried to save them. The thought began to swim around inside of Kakashi's mind as thoughts of doubt began to blossom. What if this was not Naruto's doing? Still, it was too late for that. That dream was completely made up by Naruto so he could have implanted that dream to gain Kakashi's trust, but still. Kakashi shook his head as the group rounded another corner of an alley only for Sakura to slam into an invisible wall. Damn it, Naruto. Sakura shouted at the top of her voice in pure rage. Onto the roofs, Kakashi said. The group quickly jumped onto the roofs to see Naruto dashing across the roofs. Tenten, Sakura shouted as they gave chase to Naruto. Right, take this, Tenten shouted as she pulled out a spear and shot it towards Naruto. Naruto was pierced in the back and crumpled to the ground of the route ahead. The 4 ninja landed next to the pierced Naruto only for a swift blue beam to slice the area ahead of them. Suddenly, the Naruto on the ground disappeared into a cloud of smoke and the half of the building that they were standing on began to slide away from the building. As this was happening Naruto's cloak burst away from him as he turned and jumped away. The 4 ninja jumped backwards to the building behind them before chasing after Naruto as the corner of the building smashed into the adjacent building. Man, he's clever, Tenten said as Naruto jumped off the building to the street beyond. The 4 landed on the edge of the roof to see an enormous hole in the courtyard below. What is it? Ino asked as the 4 looked at it. A chill ran up Ino's spine as the only light was the moon above. Don't know, but if that's where Naruto went then that's where I'm going. Sakura said as she took a step forward only for a firm hand to clasp onto her shoulder. Wait, Naruto may not have went down there. He could still be in the city. Kakashi said. Sakura shook her head as she looked at the hole with determination. No, that's where he went. I can feel it. He's down there and he needs to see the light. Sakura said as she shrugged off Kakashi's hold on her shoulder. After Sakura jumped down to the edge of the hole, Ino and Tenten soon followed. Kakashi sighed as he looked around at the burnt city. Are you coming, Kakashi-sensei? No, I'll continue the search up here. You girls go